Jason, being a good dad. This will be a good dad of this show. Dylan and I are going to have a lot of fun, get into a lot of fun topics. Royals, NBA, Chiefs, AFC West Roundup. Max Reaper of Royals Review joins us at 10:30. About 25 minutes, get into some Royals talk with Max Reaper. Rylan Stiles. Not to be confused with Ryan. Remember Ryan Stiles from, what's that old game? The game show? Where you'd say one thing. You know what I'm talking about? I've seen it in person. I went to it. In Lawrence, even. What's next? Whose line? Whose line is it anyways? That's who it was. Not Ryan Stiles. Rylan Stiles. Thunder beat writer for Sports Illustrated. Joins at 11. Want to get into the Thunder's big victory over the Timberwolves. It felt like everyone was rolling with Minnesota in Game 1. Obviously, they were the rested team. The Thunder, Game 7. Would they come out tired? They did come out tired. And somehow they dug deep in the second half and throttled Minnesota. It is funny, though. Like, the first half of the game last night in the NBA Western Conference Finals, all the people that thought the Thunder would come out tired and sluggish and that, Minnesota would have the advantage, they were right. And then the second half happened. And Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, all the shots stopped falling. The defense of the Thunder changed. They played in the paint. And all of a sudden, Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took over, and next thing you know, Thunder with a huge 1-0 lead. So Rylan Stiles at 11 o'clock talking OKC. I had a chance to interview Ashton Jeanty, and I've talked with him a few times now, so I hope you guys enjoy this one. Ashton Jeanty, that'll play at around 11:30. We'll take a little trip to Arrowhead West. I guess it's not like the farthest west anymore, though. We'll take a trip still out west. We'll talk with Murph of Raiders Fan Radio, AFC West Raiders update. Want to give everyone a lay of the land of what their offseason has looked like so far. Probably try and talk a little Broncos and Chargers tomorrow. Give everyone here in KC a nice little outlook of where the AFC West is currently at. Again, we all know it runs through Arrowhead. And then Mick Schaefer joins at 1 o'clock. We'll play a little Rotten Tomatoes as well with Mick in the 1. So this is a packed show today on a Wednesday of the Zone. I do want to give a quick little shout out, little talk of George Wendt. He passed yesterday. He was Norm on Cheers. Dylan, I know you drank a beer last night in his honor. We talked about it. I'm wearing my Cheers shirt right now. I know that you and I are a little young for the show Cheers, right? I know that we're a little bit on the younger side of the tail end of that show. But I've had a chance to talk with and meet George Wendt, Norm, many a time at Big Slick. And I always laugh because he had a bar that would always be set up on stage for him. They do it now for everyone, but originally it was almost just exclusively for Norm, for George. And so he would sit back there at Big Slick early on, and he would just have a single stool sat there with a bartender. And during all of the Big Slick, all for a great cause, all for charity, he would sit there and just drink a beer. And I always thought that was just awesome, really leaning into and understanding the bit. And it was probably fun for him. So saddened to hear about George Wendt's passing. Again, I know he's out there. Second he arrives, it's Norm with arms wide open. So wanted to give a quick little talk on that. Royals fell last night 3-2. What a shocker. Pitching was pretty good, and offense sucked yet again. Just abysmal, man, and I don't really want to get into it too much. We'll talk more about it as far as in-depth with Max Reaper at 10:30, but there's not really many more adjectives, many more things to say. We talked about it yesterday about it's not just the Royals' offense being bad. We tried to do a little deeper dive of runners in scoring position and how bad they are. Well, they went 1 for 3 last night. Still not great, but they're not even getting opportunities. It's been a frustrating season, especially if you are a pitcher. Michael Lorenzen did not have his best stuff, but the bullpen was able to find a way to grind it out and get through it. Zerpa coming in obviously did what he did. But Steven Cruz, Evan Sisk, Jonathan Bolin, I thought pitched really nice, right? Bolin coming back up here. I thought his sinker actually had some nice movement to it. But yet again, we're sitting here talking about the same damn thing day after day after day, and I don't know how much longer this can go on. And I know it's easy to pick on someone like Hunter Renfroe. Hunter Renfroe actually came through last night with the double late in the game. The only extra base hits in the game were from your 9 hitters. Plural, yes, because Renfroe pinch hit for Kyle Isbell. At some point, we need to stop talking about Hunter Renfroe. At some point, we need to stop ripping on Kevin Biggio or Mark Canha. At some point, the issues are India, Vinny, Salvi, and I think the biggest culprit, Michael Massey. You want to take a little guess, Dylan, at what Michael Massey is slashing this year?
I know isn't it 190-ish for batting average, right?
Nailed it, 195.
I don't know what I don't even want to guess the next two.
214 on base.
Yikes.
Yeah, taking a lot of walks, right? You know, if you're not getting hits, you might as well take a lot of walks, right?
Yeah.
Don't want to. 2% walk rate this year. Second percentile in all of baseball. Slugging 264. No power. No ability to get on base. The reason why I'm bringing up Michael Massey, and we can do this a little later on in the show if we want to, or maybe even tomorrow. The Royals are now through 50 games. It's no longer small sample size. It's no longer, well, I think they might turn it around. At some point, he is what he is. I'm not saying that Michael Massey will never be a decent major leaguer. We've seen in smaller-ish in stretches that he can play in the majors. The defense, for the most part, outside of slipping, is major league quality at second base. The issue is the Royals counted on him. They moved Jonathan India off of second base for him. And he's giving you 195. He's OPSing in the 4s. I'm not saying India's been great, but we talked about it before the season started. Moving India around, will that affect his bat? It's affected the glove for sure. India's been brutal at second, third, or left field. Doesn't matter. No consistency for him, and we've seen what the defenses look like. But it's affected the bat as well. Jason has had some talk about this, and his launch angle is higher than ever before. And it'll get added to that after last night's pop-up fest that India was on. And so I'm not going to sit here and just complain to complain. Let's try and find out what a reasonable situation could look like. Because right now, for all the talk on Hunter Renfroe, and I'm not saying he's not an issue, he's not the main issue. He's an issue. He's been brutal. He's not the main issue. The Royals weren't counting on Hunter Renfroe to be a game changer. They wanted him to bounce back a little. They wanted him to be below average. That's what they needed from him. He's not been. Michael Massey, they counted on him to be a legitimate part of this lineup. They moved Jonathan India, the guy they traded for, off of second base for him, and Massey has struggled mightily. So let's not just yap to yap. Let's try and find a solution here. What about Cam Devaney? What about Cam Devaney in the minors? Shortstop, third base, second base. He has been thriving in AAA this year. slashing 301, 380, slugging 583, OPS 963. I know everyone wants to talk about Jack Caglione. I do too. Love talking about Jack. But that is a month away. Realistically, in a quick world, Jack's probably about a month away. So what about right now? If the Royals flounder for a month offensively, will they even be around 500? Pitching's been great, but with the injuries to Lugo and Cole Reagans, can they afford that? So what can they do now? And I'm not even talking a trade. They have a couple of open spots already also on the 40-man roster. Cam Devaney, in 121 plate appearances, 301, 380, 583. 13 walks, 22 strikeouts. 8 home runs, 33 RBIs. I know he's 28. I get it. He might not be the man of the future, but what about the man of right now? Dylan, I feel like teams, and it's not just Royals related, but teams get so focused on, quote unquote, their guys, on the future, on, yeah, I know he's 28, but what about the 24-year-old? We got to make sure we have room for him. Call up the 28-year-old who's been thriving in AAA, even as for a month. I get it. He's not the future, probably. But didn't they say the same thing about Whit Merrifield, and what did he do? He forced his way. Right now, I feel like Cam Devaney is forcing his way. I don't know your thoughts here, man, but I get so frustrated, I guess, with the lack of... And they know more than us. I'm not saying that I'm a genius out here. But when I'm seeing a 28-year-old absolutely destroying AAA pitching, and you're seeing a guy on the majors who is slashing 195, 214, 246, why not try? Am I wrong here, Dylan?
I mean, no. I think you have a measured and understandable response. I would think that would be something that they would have to at least think about trying, and maybe they're just trying to save that silver bullet maybe for when they absolutely need it, and maybe they're trying to give whoever they have in that spot next after MJ Melendez to go down to AAA. So, I mean, they've obviously been willing to do it and willing to show that, this isn't just a free ride for people up here at the major leagues. If someone is outperforming you at AAA, that you will get replaced. So.
But how bad does it have to get? Because for MJ, that was historically bad.
Right.
I mean, that was historically bad. Michael Massey, I'm not trying to get... This is not trying to be hyperbolic or anything. I'm not trying... This is not historically bad. But it's damn bad for what expectations were. I thought there'd be at least a floor with Michael Massey. I didn't think 195, 214, 264. And based on the roster construction, even against lefties when they came in last night, he's staying in against them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're platooning him. So,
they're clearly trying to replace him because they're playing anyone at second base, it seems like. I mean, they're trying India at second. They're trying anyone to play that position. So, maybe they just can't replace him yet in some ways that we can't see. Maybe defensively or... Sure,
and defensively, he has been really good this year for the most part. I know the one that stands out right now is the play at second base, and some metrics underline love Michael Massey's defense at second base. Some actually think he's been pretty poor defensively at second base.
Yeah.
There's actually a pretty wide range of opinion on Michael Massey's defense. What I do know is the offense is atrocious. Right now.
And that's the other thing too, is he's the sole reason the offense is atrocious too. It's fine to pick him out because he's the worst right now. But I mean,
no, because
he won't.
My point
replacing him won't fix what we got.
No. But my point is, everyone keeps pointing at Hunter Renfroe or Kevin Biggio or guys who are more platoon guys, smaller level players. Michael Massey was brought in this year and kept here at second base to be the fifth hitter, sixth hitter in your lineup.
Yeah. No, he's underperforming for sure.
Well, I guess my frustration lies, and I've been an issue here too. I've ripped on Hunter Renfroe so much, and it feels like that's the Twitter, that's the scapegoat. It was MJ, and then it was Hunter, and it feels like Michael Massey is just skating through.
Well, he's third in line. If you think about it, Hunter or Melendez took all the heat, and now he's in AAA. So now next in line is who? Renfroe. And then next after him is Massey. So it's like whoever is next in line is going to get sent down, but sending Melendez down didn't fix anything. It actually is the same.
No, well, not for Melendez.
No, I'm saying for the offense as a whole.
I disagree because the offense has been so bad. But even the last couple games, who's been the catalyst for the offense? Drew Waters.
But everyone is still saying the offense is struggling. It's bad. It needs to be fixed.
Agreed.
Send this guy down, send this guy down, call this guy up, call this guy up. I just think that they're probably trying to bet on Massey's ceiling, whatever that is, that they thought was before the season.
Well, I understand.
And they are betting on that this is a small sample size. Take a drink.
Okay, good. I was thirsty.
That it will get better. That's what they're betting on, I think, with Massey, and they tried to bet on with Melendez to the point of complete frustration from everyone, and like you said, historically bad before they sent him down. I think they're just trying to give players a runway, so you don't cause a lot more, I guess, pressing. Because if you're sending him down because he's batting where he's batting, then everyone that's getting close to that average is going to start pressing. And it's going to get worse.
It's 50 games now, though. And this is not a...
No, I agree.
And my point here is...
He has to turn around quick. I mean, it's not going to be like, okay, the All-Star break is when... No. It needs to happen like a month before. I mean, it needs to happen like now.
We're no longer in a situation, in my opinion, and I think the Royals feel this way as well. You're no longer in an evaluation period. That's what the previous 5 seasons were. You should have a pretty good understanding of who guys are. Michael Massey, yes, he was a 743 OPS guy last year. That's above league average at second base. You will take that.
Yeah, he was a savior last year, right? I mean,
savior's a strong word. But he was a good player. He was a good player.
Who's the guy you're asking to be called up right now, right? He was the guy that everyone wanted to see.
Cam Devaney.
Right.
And the point I'm making here is, and I know the Royals and anyone should be somewhat scared of, you send him down. What if he does an MJ Melendez and never figures it out? That guy's done, right? You send a guy down, they struggle. Now they struggle in AAA. Your confidence is shot. The odds of seeing MJ again in the majors are slim, in my opinion. So the thought process might be, if you send Michael Massey down, you might not ever see him again. Point I'm making is, that sucks, but are you going to risk that over a career 661 OPS guy? That's the line you're drawing of, I don't know if we want to take that risk. Michael Massey's had stretches before where I think that he looks like a damn good player. But he was supposed to be your 5th or 6th guy this year. He was supposed to be a major cog in your offense. Again, you traded for your leadoff hitter and moved him off of his primary position for Michael Massey. At some point, that's where I think the issue lies. And I'm not saying no more than Piccolo or any of these guys. But Massey's struggles, in my opinion, you got to send him down. You got to try something. You're no longer in evaluation mode. If you want to evaluate him in AAA in Omaha. It's time for someone else to come up and see what they can do. Because what happened when Drew Waters came up? I'm not saying Drew Waters has to be great. But Drew Waters has been league average, and how much better have we talked about that versus MJ Melendez? You think MJ's coming through as a pinch hitter against the Giants 2 nights ago? I don't think so. You think MJ was getting on base yesterday against the Giants and scoring one of the 2 runs? I don't think so. I'm not saying you have to be great, but can you be competent? The Royals need competency right now in their lineup. And quite frankly, they are not getting it. Salvador Perez perpetually swinging at balls 6 inches off the strike zone, low and away. Yet again yesterday. You know what? I am team Jason now. I know we joked about it. I know we literally joked about this. But I think it's serious now. I want to see like 3 plate appearances. Don't swing 1 time. Pretend you're going to hit. Go up there with the bat. And legitimately just don't swing. I want to see what happens. Dylan, I'm not being facetious anymore. I'm being serious. Salvi, please, Captain, try this for me. 3 plate appearances. Don't take a single swing. I can almost guarantee you will get walked all 3 times.
I mean, at least he puts together competitive at-bats. Compared. I mean, Salvi has a better average, but as far as competitive at-bats, it seems like you say, all you have to do is throw sliders outside, and it's, ball game. So I would say put him right above Isbell.
There's just no...
Because Isbell is your kind of second leadoff, if you will, at that 9 spot.
The point Isbell's actually done a nice job this year.
Right.
I have no
That's
issue.
like the Rays model that Quattro brought over, where you have a dual... you put one of your better hitters at the 9 spot, so you almost have 2 leadoffs.
There's been 4 guys who I've had no issue with for the Royals offense. Isbell, Bobby, Michael Garcia, and probably Mark Canha. He hasn't been great, but he's been what he's pretty much been the past 5 years. All right. I guess Drew Waters too. I want to get into this more detail with Max Reaper. I want to talk about the job he thinks Q has done so far, what he would do if he thinks my Cam Devaney take and sending Michael Massey down makes sense to him, and a whole lot more. Max Reaper of Royals Review coming up next right here on The Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. out by Max Reaper of Royals Review. Max, how you doing?
Pretty good, Sterling. How do you are you staying up for these late night West Coast games?
Yeah, they suck. I hate it, man. I'm like last night. I'm just sitting there watching it on. I'm watching it on TV, and then I have my laptop to take some notes, and I'm just like, this is way too late. Why are we doing this? Why do they hate me? I have to stay up late just to watch the Royals offense sputter. This is brutal.
Well, at least they have the pitch clock now, and they don't have. I mean, it's still a low-scoring game, so at least we're not out there till like 1 a.m. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the West Coast games, especially when you have kids and you have to get up early for school the next morning.
No, Max, it is not ideal. And speaking of not ideal, that is Michael Massey. I want to start here because I feel like he's almost skated through. Everyone keeps picking on other guys. It was MJ Melendez, it was Hunter Renfroe, and I go, that's fine, but those two guys weren't necessarily picked to be, number 5 or number 6 in the lineup like Michael Massey was. Michael Massey was the guy that they bring in. The Royals bring in Jonathan India. They trade Brady Singer for him, a second baseman, and say, you know what? No, we're actually going to keep Michael Massey at second base. We're going to move India around because we think Massey is our guy. And then Michael Massey proceeds to slash 195, 214, 264. I don't know, man. I feel like he might be the guy that has been a catalyst for, and it's not just him, by the way. It's not just him, but I feel like he might be a guy going under the radar that has really helped destroy this Royals offense.
I feel like you're absolutely reading my mind, and the way you put it, how he's kind of gone under the radar because other guys have kind of out underperformed him, is exactly the way what I was thinking this week. I mean. Because you're right. I think he's a guy that we don't think of as a big part of this lineup, but he's a cleanup a couple times. I mean, he's a guy that I think they absolutely thought would take a step forward this year, that had the power potential, that if he took a step forward with his defense, could be a major plus for this team. And he's absolutely taken a step backwards. And it seems like he's slumping again now. So I look at his numbers. Over the last 3 years, we pick on MJ Melendez. You look at his numbers, compare him and Massey over the last 3 years, Melendez has been the better hitter. And I know Massey plays a position where maybe not as much offense is needed at second base, and he's providing some value with his defense. But for a guy that's been hitting kind of in the middle of that lineup, he's not getting the job done. And look, he's still young, and I think there is that power potential, and I think that's what they're leaning on. But he's always demonstrated himself as a guy who cannot get on base. He's always going to have a sub-300 batting average, or sub-300 on-base percentage, low batting average, doesn't draw walks. So his calling card is kind of hitting for power and playing good defense. And right now, he's not really hitting for power. While they'll accept a low batting average for him, under 200 is not going to cut it. So I do feel like he's kind of, wasting an opportunity here to take a step forward and be a big part of this lineup. And I'm not sure he's a part of this future going forward, and I think we need to have a hard conversation about what his future is. If he's going to struggle this much offensively in year 3, I guess we can say, is its full seasons, then it's really, they're at a point where they need to contend and need these guys to come forward. And if they can't wait around for an MJ Melendez, I'm not sure they can wait around for Michael Massey either. So definitely a guy that needs to step it up, because I feel like there's some other options sitting in the minors that could take that second base position and provide a little more offense.
Yeah, the Royals are no longer in an evaluation year; they're in a contend year right now. And again, Michael Massey, same wavelength as you, Max. His career OPS is 661 for a guy that I feel like we've all had high expectations for, and maybe even seen some of the potential with last year being a 743 OPS. That step forward, his career OPS is 661. Not ideal. The guy I tabbed, because I don't want to just complain to complain, like let's try and throw out some options here so that way we can actually try and find a solution. In AAA, Cam Devaney has been phenomenal, slashing 301, 380, 583, 963, third base, second base, shortstop, but he can play second, obviously. That might be the guy that I would initially go towards. I mean, he's 28. If we're talking about, I'm not saying he's the future at second base for the Royals, but Whit Merrifield wasn't the future either until all of a sudden he was. I'm not saying Cam Devaney is that guy, but we keep talking about Jack Caglione, and that's probably at least about a month away. What about a solution now? I would send Michael Massey down, try and let him get right, and try and call up Cam Devaney and see what he could do. Don't know your thoughts there. That's the way I'm going, though.
Yeah, I think desperate times call for desperate measures. And look, I'm the first guy to say there are tons of guys in AAA that put up big numbers and are a little bit older for their level, and they get to the big leagues and they're overmatched. I mean, remember C.J. Alexander, a year or two ago when he came up, put up great numbers at Omaha, was clearly overmatched when they called him up for a couple games. That's going to happen a great majority of the time. But every once in a while, you get a guy, like you say, Whit Merrifield, who has hit at every level, is a gamer, who just needs an opportunity and comes up and catches a hot streak. And maybe it doesn't last. Maybe it's only for a month or two. But, the Royals need something to get this lineup going. And look, they don't need I don't expect him to carry this offense, right? We don't need – that's going to be up to Vinny and Salvi, who really need to get going. But we've seen with Drew Waters replacing Hunter Renfroe that it doesn't take much to be an offensive upgrade, right? If Cam Devaney can come up and, hit 240 with – occasional power, that's going to be an upgrade right now for what Michael Massey is giving you. And if he doesn't hit, you've got Nick Lofton, you've got John Rave, you've got other options out there that can come up. And I know Rave's an outfielder, but my point is they've got some other guys in the minors. And the advantage with having these kind of guys is that if you try one out, he doesn't work, you have another guy that can step in. You have volume, right? Whereas a guy like Hunter Renfroe, you're kind of stuck with him because of his contract until you finally decide to cut bait. So I think they need to go through some of these guys. I look at Cleveland, another team that's kind of had similar problems the last couple of years, where they've had good pitching, but not too much of an offense. A superstar in their lineup, but not much support around him. But they gave a guy 28-year-old utility infielder by the name of Daniel Schneerman a chance last year. He came up, he did okay. This year, he's one of their best players. He's been one of their best hitters, and I don't know if it's going to last. But the point is, they gave him an opportunity. He's making the most of it. They've captured a hot streak with him. And let's see if a Cam Devaney can come up and do that. I think at the very least it sends a message to your minor leaguers: you perform, and it doesn't matter what your pedigree is. We'll give you a chance because they really need to start trying out different options. We're at the point of the season where it's not just a slump; it's a 2-month slow start to the season, and that to me portends real problems with where some of these hitters are going.
Yeah, I always find it funny. They go, well, what if you call them up and they don't hit? I go, okay, but I can tell you who's not hitting right now in the majors. I'm like, I can tell you right now for a fact who's not hitting. I know they might not hit, but what if they do? Because right now, I don't believe that Massey or Renfroe or Biggio, to an extent, is ever going to. Again, I'm not asking for greatness. That's what's so funny about Drew Waters. He feels like a revelation because he's slashing 273, 310, 391. He has an OPS just north of 700, and we're acting like that's great because comparatively to MJ, that is great. We're not asking for greatness. We're asking to be slightly below average. Can you be below average? Below average is a upgrade over disastrous. That's all I'm trying to bring up here. Max Reaper of Royals Review is our guest. You mentioned Vinny and Salvi. Do you think they're close? Do you think there's a cliff coming for Salvi based on age? Where do you take away these two guys, the major cogs in the offense that have been struggling all season long?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we can talk about tinkering at the edges with, Cam Devaney or Michael Massey, but really it's got to be Vinny and Salvi that need to get going. And that's been a big reason why this offense has struggled so much. And I think Vinny is starting to come around. You look at his numbers over the last 2 weeks, I think he's got an OPS over 800 over the last 2 weeks or so. It seems like he's making some good, pitch selections up there. Nice home run this week. Hopefully that gets the power going a little bit. Salvi, I'm a little more concerned about. I know there's some underlying metrics that suggest he's been a little unlucky, that the hits will come here, but 2 home runs through May, that's a little concerning. That's not what we're expecting. We're used to out of Salvi. And frankly, by the eye test, I don't think he looks great. He seems like he's pressing. I know he swings a lot of pitches, but his pitch selection's been, I think, particularly bad lately. So, hopefully those guys can get going. And I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know what's going to take. I mean, they do have a track record with Salvi's age. You do worry a little bit. I do feel like, we're going to get an August piece from Sam McDowell or someone or Andy Rogers that says, oh, yeah, Salvi and Vinny were playing banged up early to start the year, and Jonathan India is, another part of that, too. The other guy's been a little banged up and hasn't hit well. And you have to wonder, how much are injuries a part of this? But every team is going to have injuries, guys playing a little nicked up. And so these guys really need to get going because this is not a very deep lineup, right? It's a very top-heavy lineup where you have 3-4 guys you're really counting on being productive, above average major leaguers. And right now, the only one that's really doing that is Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Garcia, who is a nice surprise. But some of those other guys need to step it up. And hopefully Vinny gets going, and Salvi hopefully is going to stave off Father Time a little bit longer because it comes for everyone, right?
Yeah.
When it goes, it goes.
Max Reaper of Royals Review is our guest. Two-part question here. One, is Noah Cameron legitimate? Do you believe that? I mean, I'm not saying he's going to do this every single start, obviously, but do you think that this is not a mirage? And two, if he keeps pitching like this and Lugo and Reagan's come back healthy, what do they do? Do they go with a 6-man rotation, or do they do something else?
Well, yeah, I think he's legit. I mean, I don't think there's any reason not to think he isn't. He seems like a guy that knows how to pitch, knows what he's doing up there. I like his secondaries a lot. Certainly, I mean, I know it's just 2 starts, but 2 very impressive. I mean, that's about as well as you can start your career, right? To do that also in front of your hometown crowd, a nice crowd too. Last weekend against the Cardinals, that had to be a really cool treat for him. So very, very good for him, and it's nice to see the Royals produce what looks like could be a very good, a very solid pitching prospect here after years of really struggling in that department. As for what they do, these things kind of sort themselves out. I feel like every team has 6 to 8 guys in their starting rotation, and it's a really fluid situation all year. Like these, like Lugo and Waka are on the wrong side of 30. Counting on them for 30 starts is probably stretching it anyway. Lorenzen's got that, flexibility where he could go to the bullpen. He's not a starter that's going to give you a ton of innings anyway. So I think they have options there. I would imagine that when Reagans and Lugo come back, Cameron's going to go back to the minors as kind of your 6th starter that's in Omaha, ready to come up when you need him. And that's nice to have because we thought that was going to be Kyle Wright. We thought that was going to be Alec Marsh. They've continued to have setbacks. I'm not sure we can count on them maybe until the second half, if then. So it's nice to have Cameron there as kind of a really nice option, and a guy that's not just holding his own, but flourishing. I mean, he could be a really, really nice find for them, and so it's nice to have that in Omaha and stashed away when you need it.
Yeah, I know Rich Hill is trying to get back. He's in the Royals minor league system, too. I wonder if that says anything about Marsh or Wright with where they're at, just trying to get more starter depth. Again, 45-year-old Rich Hill in the Royals minor league system right now. Any chance, though, of a 6-man rotation? I know you were pretty right there, at least, saying that, Noah Cameron would get sent back down, but kind of with the same thought process of those guys being over 30 years old. Obviously, Cole Reagan's having the groin injuries. It feels like, that has been lingering when he comes off of the IL now. You have a guy like Lugo and Waka. Lorenzen doesn't always give you the most innings. Chris Bubich clearly, obviously, has been phenomenal this season. I don't know if I want to have him go one less day before a start, but also, he was out of the bullpen last year, and he's had his share of injuries. I don't know. I guess I was somewhat on board with. I think I could get behind a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't do it in the first half just because of what you say. Like you don't want to have fewer starts for a guy like Chris Bubich, who's been the best pitcher in the American League. Frankly, we need to start at least talking about him as a possible Cy Young candidate the way he's pitched. But you're right. In the second half, it's kind of I'll be really interested in seeing how they want to handle his innings because he will be taking a big jump up in his innings workload, going from a guy that had Tommy John surgery to working out of the bullpen to becoming a full-time starter again. They may want to limit those innings, and frankly for the other guys too. Like I said, Lugo, wrong side of 30. Reagans obviously keeps having these groin issues. Michael Waka is not a guy that's really been a workhorse throughout his career as well. Michael Lorenzen, not a guy that can go deep in games. So they may want to limit those innings and go with the 6-man rotation. That obviously is going to take away from your bullpen a little bit. but if they feel confident in their pen, they may want to do that as a way of kind of keeping those guys fresh, especially for down the stretch when you want to have a really solid rotation going into the postseason. So I think it's more of an innings management situation late in the year. But again, it's nice to have that option. It's nice to have that depth. It's a rotation that's maybe not as deep as we thought going into spring training because of the injuries, but certainly having a guy like Cameron has really helped out this week when you have two all-star pitchers go out in the rotation. Now, not many teams could overcome that, but the Royals have continued to pitch well, and I think just that's kind of a testament to how strong this pitching staff really is right now, and Brian Sweeney should really get a lot of credit for that.
Final question, Max, before I let you go. Again, Max Reaper is our guest. You can follow him on the X at Max Reaper. If you go to RoyalsReview.com, you have a survey up right now, which is great because I had this question put down before I even saw this on Royals Review, and it's what do you think of Matt Quatraro? You have a survey, and you give a list. I gave my thoughts. I think he's actually been a B so far this year. I know some people will disagree, but I think with what he has been given, the amount of injuries, and just the way the offense has performed, I can't blame that on him. I've given him a B so far this year. Where do you think the survey ends up, and what is your letter grade for Q this season?
I think probably B is where more people are going to go, but I see him getting a fair amount of C's, which I think is a little unfair, and we'll see if that's what it ends up being. I do see a lot of criticism on Quatraro online. I think that's probably standard for every team in baseball. Like, no one is happy with their manager. No one is happy with their bullpen. No one is happy with their lineup, right? We all have things we want to complain about. And I have my criticisms of Quatraro. Like, I think, he uses his bench a little too much. Like, Biggio doesn't need to play as much as he does. Mark Hanna should probably be playing a little bit more. Where they hit in the lineup is a little. I have criticisms on that. I'm not a big fan of how they've handled, Jonathan India playing all over the field. But, they're there to win, right? Ultimately, you're judged by wins and losses. 2 years ago when he got hired, if you said, okay, they're going to improve by 30 games, make the playoffs, and through 50 games in 2025, they're going to be 27 and 23 right in the hunt, you would have been, wow, this guy is an amazing manager. He's one of the best in the league. That's the way he's been, I think, considered nationally with Manager of the Year consideration. So I think overall he's a pretty good manager. Certainly things I think he could do better, but I think his bullpen management's fine. I like Aristides as a fireman. I don't mind having Estevez being the closer in the way they've used him. I think generally he's adjusted his personnel for the most part based on how they're doing. A little too much Angel Zerpa in high leverage situations for my liking, but overall I think he's done a good job. He's managed that clubhouse well. He does seem more stat oriented, at least recognizing a good process. Even if it doesn't always get good results. So I think he's a solid B plus manager. I think if you ask the fan base, they'd probably be more like a B minus. But certainly I think he's one of the better managers we've had in a while since Ned Yost in his glory days. So certainly I think he's been a good hire, and it's nice to be a fan of a team in contention after so many years out of it.
Yeah. Max Reaper of Royals Review. Check out all of his great work at RoyalsReview.com. Max, really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. We'll take a break, come back, more Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Some NFL news right here. The proposed ban of the tush push failed. The final vote was 22-10. It needed 24 votes to pass. Tush push is now, well, still there. By the way, the tush push appeared in only 0.28% of total plays last year. 0.28%. Eagles and Bills run the plays, obviously, 163 times the past 3 years. Talking some NBA next.
Football
OKC.
lives.
Football lives. NBA next with Rylan Stiles. OKC Thunder coming your way. Welcome back to The Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Yeah, baby, you know what that sound means. Time to talk a little NBA. Talking NBA, OKC Thunder. Rylan Stiles, host of the Locked On Thunder podcast, Locked On NBA, lead Thunder beat writer over there at OKC Thunder SI. Rylan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Sterling. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. It's a great day here in KC, and it's got to be a great day down there in OKC. 1-0 lead on Minnesota after everyone was talking about heading into this game. You know, I might like Minnesota. They're rested. OKC had to go to Game 7. Feels pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really impressive response. Really, this is the first time that the Thunder have ever had to do that because this core has only been in the playoffs now twice. And before the first round, each time as the number one seed, they've had to wait 10 days to get their first game started in the playoffs. And then they've swept both first-round matchups, so they've had to wait 9 more days to get their second round started. This was only a one-day turnaround the first time that they've ever faced something like this, where the Wolves had 6 days off, and they responded really well, especially in that second half. And really, when you break down how the game flowed, the first half was shaky at best for the Thunder. They didn't play anywhere close to their best, and they were only down by 4 at halftime, and it showed in the second half. Once they got the car back on the road, they really blew this thing out.
What does it feel like nationally? Because locally here, obviously, KC is the closest team to OKC right here. Even though they went 68-14, I mean, that's crazy. 68-14, it still never really felt like OKC got the respect that they deserved, whether it's because they don't have a LeBron James or a Luka Doncic or a Giannis Antetokounmpo, maybe one of the biggest names. I know SGA is a big name, but again, maybe not the biggest names overall on this roster. Do you feel like that locally, that maybe they didn't get the respect they deserved?
Yeah, they certainly did not. I mean, that all throughout the season, all you could talk about was how teams don't fear the Thunder, don't respect the Thunder, and the Thunder, up until that point, hadn't done anything. This is only their second try in the playoffs, and last postseason, all they did was beat a crippling New Orleans Pelicans team that didn't have Zion healthy, didn't have their entire crew. So the Thunder, hadn't been proven yet, but they did win 68 games, which is usually a pretty good indicator that we need to switch our way of thinking. I think that this Thunder team, Sterling, is just like the Kansas City Chiefs. I really do. Like you look at how the Alex Smith teams were treated, and then it took a little bit of time to catch up to how great that Mahomes and those teams were. And now that you're seeing the discourse from today's game, I know that you've seen it all over NBA Twitter and the NBA media world. Sterling, did you realize that in Game 1, the Thunder and Wolves both fouled 22 times? You would never know that because the league is rigged for SGA and it's rigged for the Thunder, and they get all the calls, just like Mahomes gets all the calls. I think that hurt the narrative too throughout this season to keep doubting Oklahoma City and keep questioning if this could live up. It's super funny how the conversation this regular season went, well, Shea won't get the playoffs, to now that he's getting the whistle. Well, now it's a problem.
It does make me laugh. You're right, though, Rylan. I love that because SGA was a free throw merchant. That's what it was. Well, OKC's only good because he's a free throw merchant. And then you actually go down the list and go, okay, well, he also has maybe the best mid-range game in the entire NBA. He is a absolute great playmaker. You have, Lou Dort, who's one of the best defenders, coupling him with Alex Caruso. This, to me, OKC is such a well-rounded team. For example, while, the Lakers have the big names of Luka and LeBron, and you go around the NBA and you have all these teams with specialized big-name players, well, they're not a team. It's just based on those guys. To me, OKC might be one of the best teams. If you like, let's say the Spurs, right? The Popovich Spurs in the early 2000s, you should love OKC. It's great ball movement. It's everyone. It's not just one guy. I know SGA is the guy, but it's not just one guy. I guess I've just been so impressed with the OKC's ability to actually build a roster 1 through 13.
What's so interesting, Sterling, is that if people could get out of their like their Twitter box, and again, maybe I'm biased as a Chiefs fan saying this about the Chiefs, but if you could get out of your Twitter box, you would love this Thunder team, just like you would love the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, because they do everything that you say you want your teams to do. The Thunder are built on the backs of hard-nosed, physical defense, which we claim never gets played in the NBA anymore. Then when we see it getting played, we deduce it to, well, they're just fouling every single play. That's all they're doing is fouling. And then they have a team that relies on, like you said, ball movement, setting up each other, playing together, and playing in the mid-range. Their two best scorers operate solely at the elbow and to the rim, and they play this throwback style of basketball that we haven't really seen since Kobe and company, that we all clamor for that style of play. And then again, we see it, and we deduce it to, well, it's a lot of free throws, so who really cares? It just is further proving that no matter how you play, no matter what you do, if you win, they're going to hate you.
Rylan Stiles is our guest. I mean, that's such a great point. 11 of 21 from the three-point line, while Minnesota was 15 of 51. Yet I do think that was also part of OKC's game plan defensively. I know that Anthony Edwards talked about it post-game, saying, I bleep, it only took 13 shots. He was trying to set guys up, talking about how they clogged the paint. Obviously, when you're getting put in the torture chamber right there with Lou Dort. I mean, what he can do defensively is just phenomenal. Him, Caruso, obviously the whole cast. But was that a concerted game plan of OKC to pack the paint and let Minnesota try and just fire up threes?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like this is a situation where Minnesota kind of you have to pick your poison with how you want to attack Oklahoma City, and they had to just let themselves believe that they could make their open shots. And this is where it's going to be interesting to see how Minnesota handles the rest of the series, because to me, the Timberwolves have the shooters that all just keep plugging away at this, where you saw how the Thunder packed the paint. They swarm the basketball, sitting 2 and 3 at Anthony Edwards, trying to create turnovers, taking away in the second half Julius Randle's entry passes. So if they're going to be that hyper-focused on those two guys, which they're going to for 2 straight years now, they've been willing to concede corner threes that are wide open, then you have to just keep trusting Dante DiVincenzo, keep trusting Naz Reid. And yes, it can look messy like it did in Game 1. That was brutal from those two guys specifically. But I think in Game 2 that they're going to bounce back and hit their open shots. And it's like there's not really much else you can do, because if you just try to put your head down and have Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle drive at the rim, and you're driving into Hartenstein and Holmgren, and you're being accosted by these Thunder point of attack perimeter defenders, like that's not a great solution to this problem. The better solution is taking these high shot quality shots from the corner three, and credit to Minnesota for continuing to trust their teammates even whenever the shots weren't going in. They took more threes in a conference finals round or later single game on Tuesday night, so that they at least follow that same game plan, and it's the game plan that the Thunder are comfortable with. And I think that that's what makes the Thunder's defense so great, is that they don't overreact to a hot shooting night. So, like, whenever Naz does go, I think, probably 4 for 7 on Thursday, he's going to do for a big three-point shooting night. They're not going to change their defense at all. And they have this belief that, you might get the Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo game 3 times, but you're not going to get it 4 out of 7. Not before we can win 4 games. So, yeah, the Timberwolves were forced into threes, but they did a good job of creating them still. They had 39 of those 50 whatever threes were wide open, and they just missed them.
Yeah. Rylan Stiles is our guest right here, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Do we see the tiredness effect catch up to them on Thursday? Because, again, going 7 games, that was the thought process the first half. It looked like that thought process was correct because, again, Minnesota took that 4-point lead, was the Thunder running on fumes. Does that hit them at all in this series? Again, not having a long in-between, just one day off in between games? Or do you think that, they're fine, this is the NBA playoffs, they'll grind it out?
Yeah, it's difficult because they're the youngest team in the NBA playoff field, and if any team should have energy, it should be this team. But I do think that it's a bit of a kind of human nature aspect of you've won Game 1 after losing Game 1 against Denver. Like, the Timberwolves are supposed to split here in Oklahoma City and get back on track at home in Games 3 and 4. Like you mentioned, there's only one day off between every single game this series, so it's going to be a quick turnaround after quick turnaround. I think Minnesota will come out as the more desperate team. I think that they'll come out and start the game faster than Oklahoma City. Then you have to wrestle with yourself, well, how long do we want to chase this 2-0 start versus just letting it be 1-1, going and getting one in Minnesota, and then coming back and winning a pivotal Game 5, kind of the same formula that you treated that Nuggets series with. I think that at the end of Game 2 tomorrow, we will be talking about the fatigue, but it might just be simply due to the Timberwolves being a more desperate and hungry team. And when a team this good is desperate, is hungry, they're going to oftentimes end up responding with a win.
I want to ask you a overarching question here, Rylan, because I worked for the 76ers for 3 years. I was there for the process, and man, did that suck. The process did not play out. It did not pan out, and now the Sixers are stuck in no man's land what to do with, obviously, a guy like Joel Embiid, who is perpetually injured, albeit very, very talented. Obviously, they had the number one overall draft pick back-to-back years, I guess multiple years, and it just did not work out when it came to Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. And those guys, they basically broke their shots, broke their brains, basically. Absolute disaster in Philly when it came to the quote-unquote process. That process didn't work out. The Thunder did a very similar style of process, and yet, yeah, maybe theirs was more advanced as far as it took longer. They kept acquiring pick after pick after pick, and yet here they are. In your mind, how do you think the process differed between the Sixers and OKC? And do you already consider the process of the OKC version complete, or do they have to actually win a title for that moniker to come to fruition?
Yeah, I think that the process is complete because the whole goal, obviously, in all this is to win a championship. So I don't want to what winning a championship is. But, I mean, it's similarly to another Kansas City reference would be like the Royals of what would we have given Sterling before the 2014, 2015 runs that kind of like jaded our opinion to just have sustainably fun and good baseball. Just not even a championship winner, just fun and good in a small market for a team that can only get talent through the draft and through trades. And Oklahoma City is that same way in basketball. You know, they're not gonna land some blue chip player in free agency. You're gonna have to make savvy trades. You're gonna have to make good draft picks, and that's your only path to sustainability. That's your only path to relevancy. And the Thunder have done that. And if it ends in a title, great. The last iteration of this team that they built did not end in a title, but it was still very fun to watch. It was still very fun to kind of enjoy from October to April, and that's a larger chunk of all this than just winning a single championship. So obviously the championship is a goal, but I do think it's worked out. And I think that the big difference from the process Sixers or from the Utah Jazz currently trying to go through this rebuild is you got a gift in having Paul George to trade for SGA and being able to have that Clippers trade that not only gave you a mountain of draft picks, but also gave you a top 3 player in the world and the soon-to-be MVP announced tonight. So like that could not have gone any better. I do think that one of the other differences beyond just getting lucky in that trade would be the Thunder's willingness to still spend, not of course into the second apron or into the high tax bracket, but still spend to take on salary dumps, like getting a first round just for rostering Derek Favors for you. Like sometimes teams go too far and they tear down their roster and have 15 low contract spots like rookies and two-way guys that are converted to standard deals. The Thunder were still willing to bring on big contracts like an Al Horford, like a Derek Favors, and get not only the picks for the initial buy of those players like Al Horford, but then parlay Al Horford back to Boston and getting another pick from it. And so the constant turnover there was well worth their investment. And then the willingness to sign guys like Isaiah Joe, who got cut by your Sixers, sign him off the scrap heap, and then develop him as an undrafted guy, second-round guy for the Sixers, and got cut, kind of getting him for free and winning on the margins there. But I do think that this rebuild has been complete, and it's those tiny marginal moves that make the difference on top of getting Shea.
Rylan Stiles is our guest, and yeah, basically the whole thing with OKC and the Sixers, one's how you were supposed to do it, and the other one's how you are not supposed to do it. You think the Sixers would have an advantage being in a larger market. You think they'd be able to sway free agents. Instead, that they finally get out of a Tobias Harris contract and say, hey, you know how we just got out of that contract? What if we do it with Paul George? You know, Al Horford, what if we gave him a ridiculous contract for him to be horrible, and then he goes to Boston and becomes the same old Al Horford we've known for the past 20 years. Yeah, I don't know, man. Rylan, being a Sixers guy is very, very hard. That's why OKC is still there in my heart. Rylan Stiles is our guest right here. How many games does the Western Conference Finals go?
Before the series, I picked 7. I really do have faith in the Timberwolves defense to muck up a game, and from that point, it's just shot variance. It's like you saw it last night. I think that the Timberwolves defense for the first half played exceptionally well against Oklahoma City's offense, and in the first half, they were hitting their open shots. And Julius Randle was like 5 for 6 from 3 in the first half, and they were still only up 4, but it was a grinded-out kind of game. It was a game that was there for the taking for Minnesota. I still believe that that's going to happen. Role players play better at home. They're still going to get games 3 and 4 at home, to try to get games in that capacity. I think that they'll win in game 2. I think that they'll win at least 1 in the Target Center, and then that automatically pushes you to 6 games. I think that it'll still go 7. It might not feel like an overall competitive 7. And I think that the losses for Minnesota will look a lot like Monday, and the wins will look a lot like just grimy, gutting it out wins. But it comes down to 3-point shooting, variance from Minnesota. There's not a ton of true that they can make outside of. Chris Finch has to just abandon his stubbornness to play man. And you saw it in the first half where their man defense is good, and you want to give them all the credit in the world because they're the only team, in my opinion, that can fluster Shea with just a man concept defense. But they're also so much better when they play zone, just like every team is so much better whenever they defend the Thunder with zone. Can Chris Finch get out of that stubbornness of wanting to do it his way and instead do it the way you're supposed to defend the Thunder and bog down their offense? If he's willing to make that change, I think that they're going to be able to find some success and get this series back to that 7 games that I predicted.
Who do you think the Thunder play in the NBA Finals, Pacers or Knicks, and who do you want to see the Thunder play?
I think that this series is the ultimate toss-up. I would say that they're going to play the Indiana Pacers. I think that they're just a more complete roster, and the Knicks have been playing a playoff-style rotation for 6 months now, and it's another long physical series you're going to have to get through that I think does wear you down a little bit, and you do play every other day, etc. I think that they're going to play the Pacers. I actually loved going to Indiana for All-Star Weekend a year ago, so I'm fine with that. But there would be something special about going to cover the NBA Finals in the Garden. So I kind of secretly, even though it's more expensive, would like to go to New York and see a Finals game in Madison Square Garden. But I do think it'll be Indiana OKC.
Okay. Do the Thunder win the NBA Finals?
If it's Indiana, I think that they absolutely win the NBA Finals. And I would still pick them to beat the New York Knicks. So I'm going to say yes, the Thunder get their first NBA championship.
I do think it'd be fun. Pacers and OKC would be great because of the small market. It would be awesome. Tyrese Halliburton and SGA, all that would be great. Knicks would be fun, though, because I love watching small market teams beat up on New York. One of my favorite things I do is I try and rip on New York any chance I get. Dylan knows, can't stand the Yankees. I want the Pacers to beat the Knicks for that exact reason. I'm team small market over big, so I think it'd be fun to watch the Thunder beat up on New York personally. Rylan Stiles is our guest. You mentioned this earlier. I don't necessarily disagree, but you mentioned that the MVP is going to be SGA. Are you pretty confident there?
Yeah, I mean, we've been fooled by polls before, as you know, in this country, Sterling, but the early polling presents that SGA will be MVP. There's some trackers out there who know who the voters are, and then they sift through those voters' pieces of content to try to find out what their ballot is before it's announced. And all of those data points suggest it will be Shea. I think it'll be Shea because, I do believe that Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world, and I think that he's having one of his best seasons that he's ever had, which should lead you to get MVP, right? But the history of this award in every sport, but especially basketball, it's never been about the best player in the world. Because Nikola Jokic, if he wins this year, will be right there with Michael Jordan, right there with LeBron James already, because we've never just handed those guys MVPs. We've always looked for storylines. We've always looked for new talent and new guys to showcase. And this is a part of just the NBA ecosystem. And I think that if you give Jokic this MVP award, it is just ruining the MVP award for the league, only because, Sterling, you watch basketball, unlike a lot of your fellow Kansas Cityans. What's going to stop Jokic from winning every MVP then if he gets this one? Because what's he going to do next year? He'll win 50-something games, will say that it's impressive because this roster should not be winning 50 games, and he'll average a triple-double. Well, that's the criteria for an MVP if he gets this one. So he's going to have to get the next one, and the next one, and the next one, because he's going to be doing this until he's 60 years old, averaging a triple-double and somehow winning 48 to 50 games. So you can't just keep spoon-feeding him MVPs because we've never done that through the course of NBA history. So a vote for Jokic is a vote to change NBA precedent. And maybe we should change NBA precedent. Maybe we should have just been giving MVP to MJ and LeBron consistently. But by that same token, we should have been giving Patrick Mahomes the MVP every single year too. So it's like that's just not how the real world works. So I get the complaints from Nuggets fans, but like this is just not how the sport or any sport works. Shea's the MVP this season. He's having a good enough season to justify it, but then you couple in 68 wins, which has only been done 7 times in NBA history. For this, and especially for this young of a team. And now even though it's a regular season award, he has proven it now in the playoffs, getting all the way to the West Finals and up 1-0.
I'm not going to lie. You sound like a politician. A vote for Jokic is a vote to change precedent. I like that. Like that should be the slogan for SGA. A vote for Jokic is a vote to change precedent. I get what you're saying. I find it so hard to go against Nikolai because, again, 29.6, 12.7 rebounds, 10.2 assists, triple-double, first time, I believe, ever for a center to average a triple-double. I mean, even Wilt Chamberlain, I believe, didn't do that. That seems a little far-fetched to almost believe, but still, that's what it says right here. Yeah, I get it. What Jokic did even this year feels like he took a step forward. But I understand you're right, because then Mahomes would have more MVPs. Obviously, MJ would have had more MVPs. It is about storylines, and SGA, what he did, and the OKC Thunder getting 68 wins. I'm not saying he's not deserving. I just think it's absolutely crazy what Jokic has done. Unsung player. We'll leave it here, Rylan. Who was going to be the unsung player, the unsung hero for OKC throughout the rest of the playoffs?
You know, I think that it would be Cason Wallace, but we're already seeing people catch up to Cason Wallace. It's just, you know, I think that the best way to describe these kind of players is when you look at the box score after the fact and it's all said and done, and heading into NBA.com, you're thinking to yourself, man, that guy really should have played more. Then you look at his game minutes, and he played 33 minutes, and that's exactly what happened to Cason Wallace last night. Like, watching the game unfold in the arena, I was like, you know, they need to get Cason on the floor nonstop. Like, they need to get him back out there. Get him back out there. And then afterward, you look up, and in a blowout game where you just wasted the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, he played 33 minutes and was the second most minutes played in this game for OKC. But that's how much of an impact that he had that you just wanted to on the floor the entire time. Yeah. And his defense turning into offense, the way that he does both in transition. He's one of the Thunder's better players at leading the break as a ball handler, but he's especially their best player at play finishing in the fast break, because he can rise up and just slam it home like he did on Jokic in Game 7. But also he can fill the lanes properly as a guy who can hit corner threes and finish at the rim. He understands the spacing concepts that you need in the fast break, which is important because it sounds really, elementary. But for a team that labors on the half court, you cannot mess up fast break opportunities, because then you're really, up a hill without a paddle, or whatever the phrase is. So I think that Cason's defense, especially on Anthony Edwards, while Lou Dort's their best defender, Cason's their most athletic and their most mobile defender. So I think that he'll be huge in this series against Anthony Edwards, and huge against Jalen Brunson, in the finals. And with Tyrese Halliburton will present a different issue. But I think that it'll be Cason Wallace, who at the end of it has this newfound fandom from national people.
I implore everyone listening, obviously, 1, OKC is the closest local NBA team, and 2, if you like 90s and early 2000s basketball, if you like the mid-range game, if you like defense, if you like having a team with a team that passes the ball, that sets up actual plays, that is fast-paced as well, you need to watch, and you will love Oklahoma City Thunder basketball. I really appreciate it. Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder podcast, Locked On NBA as well, Thunder beat writer for OKC Thunder SI. Rylan, really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. This was a lot of fun anytime.
Yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Gente. Ashton, first and foremost, how good does it say not just Boise State running back, but Raiders running back?
Man, it feels great. I mean, it's amazing. Came from already a great organization, now going to another great organization. So, I mean, I'm excited.
I do want to start here with I know you joined forces with Jalen Milroe and you tapped into your military roots for a day in the life experience at General Mitchell Air Force National Guard Base right there in Milwaukee in partnership with USAA, the official NFL Salute to Service partner. I'd love to hear more about this and what all you did.
Yeah, I mean, first, man, I just want to thank, all our members of the military, veterans and their families, as being a military kid, for the continued service and sacrifice, for our country. But, we took a little visit down there. And so really what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to get in these planes that carry like hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel, and they fuel like these fighter jets and stuff like while they're in the middle of missions, right? And we were supposed to get up there, see it happen, all that, but the weather wasn't cooperating. So we actually just did the simulators. So we got in the plane, we simulated flying the plane, and then in the back of the plane they call it a boom, and it's basically this thing that pumps the gas in. So we simulated doing that, but which was still cool, but it would have been dope to do it real life.
That's crazy, man. It helps on your running back vision right there, being that high. That's what you're doing right now. You could,
yeah, the bird's eye view, man. Come on.
I do want to talk about how you have this great partnership and relationship with Max Crosby. We talked again before the draft. What happens if Max Crosby tackles you? What's that going to be like? Well, now you don't have to worry about it. Now you're teammates. Makes that a little easier, huh?
Right. Yeah. Nah, it's gonna be a lot of fun for sure. Gotten to chop it up, talk with him a little bit. So definitely gonna be a great relationship. But hopefully I'm breaking his tackles more than he's tackling me.
Oh, I like that. Sort of calling yourself post-draft the Silver Surfer. First off,
Yeah.
badass. But when did you come up with that nickname and why the Silver Surfer?
I'm not gonna lie, I had a feeling that I was going to the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? And, they silver and black. You know what I'm saying? But then just like, he's the Silver Surfer is really like, he's in the cosmic world, saving these people, saving planets. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that I'm gonna say the Raiders, but you know what I'm saying? I'm from out of this world, man. I'm cosmic, man. So I feel like I'm gonna come and, do some crazy things for this organization. So that's the background, you know what I'm saying?
I love that. That's outstanding. What was the draft day process looking like for you? Did you know pretty early on you were going to the Raiders? I know you said you had a good feeling, but let's say, when Jacksonville traded up, that was that trade that happened. Did you think, am I going to Jacksonville? Am I going to go to the Browns at 5 now? Or was it always in the back of your mind like, I'm going to be a Raider?
Right. Yeah, I kind of felt mm, overall mostly that I was gonna be a Raider. And then like seeing the Jags, because the day before everybody's like Jags, 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 but really it was really just a pump fake, obviously. And like once I seen they traded up, I'm like, all right, we know who they're getting. Okay, easy. And then the rest was like cool. The only other one that like could have been was the Browns, but even at the same time, I was still like, nah. And then once we came to 6, I mean, I was just waiting for the call. Like I knew it was about to happen.
You knew right away. No prank calls this time? No, you didn't get any prank calls?
Nah, I didn't get no prank calls. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
actually
can't believe
got
that.
I got prank calls like after though. Like some dude called me. It was like, yeah, you just got we just traded with the Raiders and you're coming to the Cowboys. And I just hung up, bro. But I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, what are these people doing? How do they get your
Yeah.
number? I'm constantly perplexed by that. Uh,
Yeah.
I do want to talk about. So I'm here in Kansas City. Okay, so I'm apologizing in advance. Nay, no bad blood. Okay, you and
Bad
me, we're
blood.
good. Raiders, Chiefs, we're okay right here for this conversation. It's a safe space. But how much are you looking forward to this historic rivalry? I mean, one of the best rivalries in football, and you're going to be on part of it with the Raiders when they play Kansas City. You looking forward to that one?
No, I'm definitely excited. I mean, rivalry games are, always the most fun. You play a little harder, a little more trash talk. You know what I'm saying? A little more grit, grind in those games. And then, like, their starting linebacker, Nick Bolton, he actually went to the same high school as me. So it'll be like a crazy moment just to play against him.
Yeah, got Missouri had a huge Nick Bolton guy. So I like that. You and Nick Bolton
Nice.
meeting in the hole.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun. Besides the paycheck, what are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to most about life in the NFL?
um, I mean, really just the game day atmosphere. I know Raiders fans go all out, so I'm excited. I already met Gorilla Rilla and I forgot what the other dude's name is. But I'm just excited to see all the fans like dressed up and lit. And I know my
Yeah.
family's gonna be up there with them too, so it's gonna be dope.
Hey, Raider fans are crazy, man. You got to
Yeah,
protect them just a little bit, just
yeah,
a little bit there.
just a little bit.
All right. So I work for a company called Fansided. And so we like to know what players are a fan of because a lot of people are a fan of you. But what is Ashton Genty a fan of? It can be music, player, team, anything. What do you dig?
um, Shoot, for me, it's really Call of Duty. I be I be playing the game, man. So like, I just love playing. Call of Duty. I think like music. Like I'm a fan of a lot of different artists. I'll say my number one artist right now is Gunna. So I really like his music. I play one of his songs as my walkout song on draft day.
There
You
we
know what I'm
go.
saying? So yeah, just a little something, something.
Yeah, Call of Duty right there. I like that.
Yeah.
That was me too. A big COD 4 guy, Modern Warfare 2. I'm older than you, Ashton. See, I'm throwing it back a little bit now. um, a little bit behind the scenes here, Ashton. What is the moving process like? Like you get drafted by a team, right? So you're going to the Raiders. You're going to Vegas. You got to move. You got to figure all this stuff out. How hard is it behind the scenes? Maybe some of the things that people, the average person, doesn't realize.
Yeah, I think for one, uh, obviously you gotta train like that's no matter what, and then now you gotta start learning the playbook. So I was literally just in a meeting with my running back coach, going over the playbook, and then on top of that, you have to get all your finances ready, like whoever's gonna be, if you have an advisor, whatever, get everything structured, big signing bonus coming, you know what I'm saying? But that part too, just make sure you have the right team around you so when you get to rookie mini camp and moving forward, like everything flows smoothly and all you have to worry about is football, right? And then moving, like you actually packing up your stuff and now you got to look for a place to stay because you don't want to be staying in the hotel living out of your luggage, for months. So it's just so much happening at once. But it
Yeah.
is a great opportunity, but you got a lot to figure out quickly.
Yeah, I want to finish with you again one more time talking about your partnership with USAA, but I got to ask all time running back Mount Rushmore, who's on it?
All time. So what is it, 4 or 5?
Four.
4. All right, well, we know the great Barry Sanders. I'm gonna throw I gotta put Adrian Peterson in there. Me personally, I just like LaDainian Thompson, so I'm gonna put him up there. And then it's only right, Raiders legend, Marcus Allen. That's my dog.
Hey, you know what? Even as a Chiefs guy, I can love that. Marcus Allen, Chiefs Raiders, right here,
Yes,
right there,
sir.
baby, right there. Ashton Genty, again, congratulations on getting drafted to the Raiders. Again, one more time before we leave, your great partnership that you have with USAA.
um, kind of like we were saying earlier, salute to service partners official of the NFL. So it's just been great to, partner up with them, especially being the background of my family, my dad being in the military, touring the Air National Guard of Wisconsin, and really more than that, just showing our support and gratitude by going out there, right? Because everybody doesn't think, but like, going and visiting and seeing a day in their life really, reconstruct your thinking. Like everybody says, thank you and thank you for your service, but actually going there and seeing it, you really grow a deeper appreciation for what they do and see how detailed and structured everything is. And without them, we wouldn't be able to live these lives that we do. So just extremely thankful and grateful for that opportunity. And me and Jalen, we kept saying it, but hopefully next time we can come back and actually, get up in a plane with them and, really see it, but just great opportunity, so salute to service.
Yeah. Again, I'm just saying, get Ashton and Jalen in that plane. One more time.
Got you.
Get them in that plane.
Got you.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Good luck this upcoming season. Ashton Genty, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you again to Ash and Genty, new Raiders running back. A lot of fun talking with Ash. And again, I interviewed him before the draft and then after the draft. Fun guy. Rooting for him, except for when he's obviously not playing against the Chiefs. Pretty cool story, though, about him and Nick Bolton. Can't wait for those two guys to meet in the hole. Nick Bolton, Ash and Genty. Nick Bolton got a little something extra to say there, right there. You got to hit your boy hard, right? Can't let your guy get you. I like that. Love that. Murph of Raiders Fan Radio will give us a little AFC West Raiders update at 12:30. Mick Schaefer joins in the 1 o'clock. We'll be playing a little Rotten Tomatoes later on with Mick. So Jack Caglione had his first game in the minors in AAA. I should say AAA, not the minors. First game in AAA yesterday. 1 for 4. Don't look at the hit, though. Don't look at the hit. Don't pay attention. Doesn't matter. It says 1 for 4. It may have been a swinging bunt. I think Dylan's pulling it up right now. That's what you're looking at. That was going to make me laugh really hard because I said 1 for 4, and I thought he literally went to his phone and go, Jack Caglione, roped single. That maybe was like 34 miles an hour exit velo. Doesn't matter. He got to show off the wheels. Jack Caglione showed the wheels on that hit yesterday, 1 for 4. Just wanted to give you your daily Jack Caglione update. I do want to talk, Dylan, next the noon with you. Obviously, we talked about it. The proposal to ban the tush push fails. Tush push alive and well. Failed by 2 votes. We will talk about that in the next half hour. And then the Lions withdrew proposal to change NFL playoff seeding. Also good for the game. Huge for the game. I do want to bring up something pretty funny, though.
Well, up to that point, did you look at who proposed it, by the way, which was the Lions, obviously, and who they played as far as a division goes last year?
It was the Packers.
Well, no, I'm saying for not the tush push, the playoff seeding.
Oh, no. I didn't see it.
They played the NFC South, who had 1 playoff team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they had 3 playoff teams, and guess what their record was in the playoffs? A goose egg 0 for 3 for the NFC North. So that is why I think the late momentum to actually pull that from the voting happened, because they looked into the scheduling and saw that, hey, you guys got to play one of the easiest divisions, and then also turned around and went 0 for in the playoffs in the first round.
Yeah, that's soft.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Not all schedules are created equal is why they pulled that from the voting.
I want to get into that a little bit more with you on the other side, because I think there's some fun conversations to be had with that, especially in regards to the AFC West as well. I'm sure the Chargers wouldn't mind that, right? Chargers wouldn't mind that, since Broncos wouldn't mind if that rule were to pass.
Win your division, man.
Yes!
I agree.
Whole point of divisions, right?
Yes.
Like, isn't that the whole point? Or do you want to go to the NBA where now it doesn't matter at all?
You can tell, every single owner can tell their fans with a straight face right now that we have a 1 in 4 chance of hosting a playoff game. Right now. No matter how bad the team is, they can win the division and host a playoff game.
True.
And you're not going to get the owners to vote against that.
Somehow the Panthers, they were 1 in 5. I don't know how.
Right now?
Yeah, I don't know how. It should be 1 in 4, but somehow.
I don't know. It's the offseason. They're 5-0.
The bye week.
Someone tweeted, like, I can't believe how much the Browns and Panthers are dominating the headlines right now. I was like, you can't? Like, this is the time that they dominate the headlines.
It's the
right
offseason,
now.
baby.
Exactly. The Bears as well.
Bears every offseason. It's what the Bears do.
That's what I'm saying.
It's what the Bears do. Sorry, Paige.
Yeah, sorry, Paige.
We gotta feel bad for her. Yeah. One Bears fan in the office.
Got a pope.
It's tough.
So,
you got a pope. Hey, no rings recently, but I got a pope.
The first American pope is from Chicago, so maybe things turn around.
I just can't believe a pope probably knows who Juan Uribe is. Like, that blows my mind.
It still blows my mind that they not only did he go to the World Series, but happened to be on the B-roll after a strike was thrown or something. Like, the camera just happens to pan to the next one of the first American pope.
The pope is probably a
damn
near
20 years before it happened.
Mark Burley and AJ Przinsky fan. Odds of that are wild. By the way, quick before we go to break here.
His faith's been tested, though. So
Walker Bueller got tossed from a game yesterday, and Lindor was talking about how great it was to see him. He leaned into the pitch, all this stuff, and Walker Buehler tweeted out, "I wouldn't want me out there either." Love it. Welcome back to the Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Dylan, have you ever played MLB The Show?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that baseball players on MLB The Show have their own card that's called a Real 99? So if you are in Major League Baseball or if you are in the minors now, I found out, and you want to have a card and you can prove that it's you, well, MLB The Show will create a free card for you that says Real 99. And that random guy is 99 overall. It's you. It's like you create a guy, but they make it for you. I found that out last night because I played against a minor league baseball player, Andrew Patrick. I have not heard of this guy. And so I'm like, Dylan, you know me. I'm pretty in the know with baseball. I know almost every player, minor league, former, current. That's like, I take pride, try and take pride. I know a lot of names. Never heard of this guy. But he had the Real 99. This guy comes up and it's 99 overall. They don't have that in The Show right now. So I look it up. Dude's in single A. I had no idea that you could do. I found it kind of cool. I played against a single A player in a online baseball video game. He kicked my ass. And I see why he's so good. Sorry, Andrew. You kicked my ass, so I got to take a shot at you. He's batting 42 in high A ball. Sorry.
Did you get in the chat room and muck it up a little bit?
No, I didn't do that. I'm not going to I could just take a shot on air. Why wait when I could just take a shot at that? No, I thought it was pretty cool, though. Kind of fun. I mean, imagine if you were a professional athlete and you got to play as yourself and the entire thing. Like Madden, for example. Imagine you're, this would be the Sky Moore of Madden. Imagine you're Sky Moore, you can play as yourself as a 99 overall. Kind of cool. And you don't create it, someone else makes it for you. I thought it was kind of neat. So that's who I thought was just interesting. So if you've ever seen a guy on MLB The Show who's 99 overall and it says Real 99, you're playing against an actual Major League or minor league baseball player. I learned something, Dylan. Learned something. I also learned...
I did too. I didn't know that.
So yeah, there you go. I'm not a video game guy, but I do like MLB The Show. I also learned something else. Tush push is a legal NFL play, baby. Yeah. Dylan is the most thrilled of anyone here. Dylan believes the tush push is the most NFL of NFL plays out there.
It's literally the entire 1930s to 50s
Yes.
offense.
It's dude versus dude. Well, dudes versus
That's why games
dudes.
ended 13-7, and it was considered a blowout. So,
1st and 10. Tush push. Run the tush push 3 times. See how close you get. Do we go for it on 4th down, or do we punt it?
honestly, though, to this point, like, it's awesome when Andy Reid pulls Rose Bowl right from the 50s, but
Yes.
because we can't stop a 1-yard play, we have to ban. You know, that's where I was always leaning was, why are we banning a play? Because you can't stop it. It's not. There's no data of the injury that they're claiming.
Even Adam Schefter was tweeting about that. How
Right.
everyone keeps talking about injury, but until we actually see it, there's no way to. It's all hypotheticals, and we're talking about football where injuries happen on every single play nearly. Like it's just,
Right.
It's football. Yeah, you know my thoughts. I changed my whole entire thought process on it. I thought the tush push should have been banned, and then the more research I did on it, the more I just talked with other folks. I was swayed. I feel like it should not have been banned. I'm glad it's not banned. I know Chiefs fans might feel a certain way or two, but how much more satisfying is it in this upcoming year's Super Bowl when the Chiefs stop the tush push against the Eagles?
Well, and also,
Gonna say it.
you were able to win against said team in the
Yes.
first matchup because I don't know if you induced the false start or whatever
Sure.
happened, but it pushed them out of a tush push situation, and then the next play was Jalen Hurts fumbling and Nick Bolton returning it for a touchdown.
Yes.
So you didn't technically stop it there, but they stopped themselves, and you were able to win the football game. So it's not an indefensible play or a automatic win for the Eagles every time they show up because they have this play that no one else can run or stop.
Or just don't get him to 3rd and 1.
100%.
4th and 1. I mean, that's also
we seem to be able to play with that mindset and win a Super Bowl, which Steve Spagnuolo, I'm pretty sure all week said, hey, it's 1st and 9. We can't give up 9 yards. We have to basically play it like that.
So I've not seen the final tally on this.
I think it was 10 voted against.
No, but all the teams.
Oh, I
so
see
yeah,
what you mean.
it was 22-10. It needed 24 to pass. They were too short of this going through and passing, okay? Again, this was submitted by the Green Bay Packers. The teams to support the Eagles, of the ones we know now, are the Ravens, the Patriots, the Jets, the Lions, and then obviously the Eagles would have voted to keep this. So that's 5 teams we know of that voted to allow this to keep going on. Where do you think the Chiefs landed in this? Because we don't have that knowledge right now, but that's 5 teams. Ravens, Patriots, Jets, Lions, and Eagles. Those are 5 of the 10 in support of this being around. So there's 5 more teams then. 5 more teams that we do not know that voted against banning the tush push.
I would say we voted against banning it.
I would hope so.
Yeah, because it just looks like,
It looks like sour grapes.
Exactly.
It looks.
I think that you just kind of vote to ban it, and if you really deep down wanted it to be banned, you just hope that it falls that way. But as the Chiefs, I don't think you can vote to ban it because that's exactly what everyone will point at.
So
especially if it passed.
I would love,
especially if they did ban it and then they pulled out the votes and the Chiefs were one of them. I mean, that's just
Dunk City.
Yeah, and no one would keep in mind that there were 23 other teams that put it there and probably lost to the Eagles in a big game as well, including the Packers. But it just fuels the Chiefs' hate that everyone already has, basically. Not right or wrong, but, it is what it is.
So the Eagles tweet out a push on, which is pretty funny. They do the picture
and
against.
they also posted 26 minutes on their YouTube of all the times the tush push was successful since they started running it.
That's great. Honestly, what they should
in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs that we won as well.
Yes.
So for a touchdown.
What they should have done is done every tush push, successful or not, to prove that it also can be stopped. Like, hey, you can stop us.
If you're Washington,
Rarely.
do you just loop Luvu jumping over the pile for 26 minutes as well?
That would be
the
good.
whole play and everything and the whole, we will award a team a touchdown and we can do that like that. That's what if I'm trying to stop it, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead, award him a touchdown. See how the reaction is tomorrow when you do that. And I'm going to keep jumping over the pile and just keep on doing it.
So Jason Kelce and team owner Jeffrey Lurie of the Eagles spoke to lobby to the other owners right before this. Do you think that helped or hurt? Because I think that would hurt.
I don't know. I think it helped. You're really going to ban this play in front of Jason Kelce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like if you brought out a former player who popularized it, I don't know. I guess maybe it wouldn't sway my vote either way. But not Bush League. You want to prove your point. I get that. It just feel I wonder how it was taken by the 31 other owners.
Right.
Of, hey, I'm the owner here, and I'm going to also bring out my former player to try and prove this point. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but again, doesn't matter. By 2 votes, doesn't pass. But a really cool vote did pass. You ready for this one?
Yep.
NFL owners approved a proposal to allow teams to declare an onside kick at any time during a game when they are trailing. Now, you have to declare it, so it still has to be declared. But no longer does it have to be strictly in the fourth quarter. I wish you didn't have to declare it, but I understand why you have to with the new kickoff rules, or else it'd be literally impossible because there's no way of going about it without declaring it. But I like that. Anytime when you are trailing, you can declare an onside kick. Players on the kicking team also be lined up with their front foot on the 35-yard line. That's 1 yard closer than the previous onside kick. Like it, hate it, indifferent. Where you at, Dylan?
I like it. I mean, it needs to be, in the game of football, one of the greatest Super Bowl plays is the surprise onside kick from the Saints. So
Yeah, I know. That surprise, no longer you can do
Right.
that. So now you still
you're able to do a onside kick, like you said, outside of just those specific parameters, which was, I mean, it's less of a surprise than it is now. At least you can, maybe, I don't even know. You can't catch anyone off guard. Maybe they have a bad substitution. They don't get their hands team in there right because they're not expecting it. But other than that,
Yeah.
there's really no surprise to it whatsoever. So that's never going to come back because of the way the kickoff's set up.
there's no possible
There's
way.
no way to surprise onside kick with that setup. There's just not.
Yeah.
So this is their best attempt at making it a fair and possible way to, start a comeback earlier too. You could be like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We had to probably get an onside kick way sooner than we did.
So I thought that was solid.
Yeah.
Again, it's a step. It's not going to be perfect, but
I think they did a good out of all the hubbub and everyone talking about it for weeks on end, which thank God that's over. I don't want to hear the words tush push ever again, and I like the play and don't really care to have it legislated out. I just hate hearing about it every single day. I think they did a good job. I mean, there's really no vote that everyone's pissed off about, and it seems like every way that, people wanted them to vote, they did.
I'm trying to find where the difference percentage-wise of QB sneaks versus brotherly shove. I didn't want to say the TP word because you were going to break through that wall and fight me.
It's okay. I'm not that serious about that, but it is annoying how much it's just been talked about.
Wow, this is actually pretty interesting. Okay. Here's an interesting one right here. Eagles and Bills ran the play most often. They scored a touchdown or achieved a first down on 87% of the tush-push plays. Okay? 87%. Remember that. Bills were actually more successful last year than the Eagles were, so that actually helped. Carson Wentz was 40 of 46, 87% on QB sneaks in his era when he was with the Eagles. Tom Brady was at 91.1%. That was in 2017, up to 2017. Statistics for this, I'm searching like a madman. But in 2017, up to that point, Tom Brady's QB sneak rate was 91.1. Dylan, I'm not a math man. 91.1 is higher than 87%. QB sneaks are very successful as is. We complain all the time about the tush push. I don't hear anyone complaining about QB sneaks. Sure looks like the lines are marginal in regards to which one's more effective. And basically the most effective QB sneaker ever didn't use a tush push. Maybe just being smart and having a good offensive line. That's what matters. Shocker. Chiefs, I don't need you to try and tush push Blake Bell back in the day. What I need is Gardner Minshew to take a snap and just do a QB sneak because it'll work. Because you're not going to with Patrick. Dylan, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, or if the goal is the most amount of weight and strength on your legs, basically, because everything is about Jalen Hurts, how much he can squat and all that, yada, yada, then whoever squats the most on your team needs to start taking snaps. And whoever squats second and third most needs to be learning how to push from behind of the tush push part.
But
so I do
That's
all
find
I'm
that
saying.
interesting, though, Dylan. We talk about, how Mahomes won't do the QB sneak. Who was the backup quarterback last year for the Chiefs?
That would be Carl Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
I just pulled up. He was 40 of 46 on QB sneak with his time with the Eagles. That was pre-tush push. That was higher percentage, 87%, or at least equal with the Eagles. Why didn't the Chiefs run the QB sneak with him?
I was I was a proponent of that since we had any backup quarterback. If that's the only,
That's their job, basically.
Right.
That's why you brought him in. And again,
and if you're worried about, again, what happened, which I can completely understand, then, again, just use a backup.
and by the way, you might say, well, the defense knows it's coming. The defense almost always knows when
Right.
the QB sneak is coming. It's not
Yeah,
like
why,
this is...
Why do you think they all, it's almost like they all try and scrunch over the
Yes.
center right at the snap? Like, everyone knows what's going to happen.
It's not new. That's what the QB... Like, if Carson Wentz comes to the game, we know a QB sneak's coming. Actually, that may give you a bigger advantage. Hard count. Get a free play. I don't know. I'm just thinking here. The Chiefs weren't as bad last year in short yardage situations. It wasn't as bad as the years prior, so I don't want to be too harsh because I think Kareem Hunt actually helped a ton in that situation. But now you have Gardner Minshew. I'm just pulling up numbers here. I know we're talking about tush push, but QB sneak, bring it back. Make QB sneak great again. All I'm saying. And then, by the way, the last of the rule changes that were proposed, the Lions actually withdrew their proposal to reseed the NFL playoffs. You like this, right? You like this?
Yeah, we just covered it, basically. 'Cause
Yeah.
The Vikings cried and were upset. I know it's the Lions that submitted it, but clearly the Vikings were the ones that, didn't benefit from the current seeding, according to them. But they've been doing it for years, and teams have figured out to win on the road. Now, we lost to the Ravens when we had a home playoff game one year
Yes.
with Castle and them. They were just a better team.
I know that for every Seahawks, and by the way, they won a playoff game when they went 7-9.
It's the Beastquake game
Yes, but like my whole point
against the defending Super Bowl champion Saints.
The main point I make in regard to the playoff reseeding is you're choosing an outlier versus the norm. Because the outlier, we know what happened. Maybe they didn't deserve to host a playoff game. They went 7-9. They won. But still, they went 7-9. If that's your argument, okay, fine. That's the outlier. How convoluted and confusing is it going to be every single year with the arguments that arise when a team plays a harder division? You mentioned it with the NFC North playing the NFC South. Pretty big advantage for the NFC North. Yeah, you're probably going to win more games. You're beating up on the Panthers. You're beating up on the worst conference in football when that was your competitive advantage in the scheduling. So, no. Why would we change the rules for the outlier season versus the norm? By the way, I don't hear Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, Vikings. Dylan, shockingly, it was all quiet when that entire conference was buns. The division was horrible. Shockingly, they didn't want to change it then, right? Oh, no. We go 10-7. We get a home game. Shocker. That the 1 year in the past, 30 years, that the NFC North actually has multiple teams that are good. They want to change the rules. Man, Detroit, I'm trying to like you. I'm trying to like you, Detroit. Everyone loves Detroit. The lovable losers. And then you try because you lose and you think it's unfair. You want to change the rules? No quicker way to get me and a lot of people off your side than that. One good year. They've had like 2 or 3 good years. 2 good years recently. And you want to change the rules? Charmin Ultra. Lions? You know what the Bears logo should be? That's kind of unfair now. The Charmin Ultra Bear. Because that's soft. NFC North.
It played the NFC South and went over. And including the Lions, who had the bye and the 1 seed and lost to the check notes Commanders and a rookie quarterback in their house. So hosting a playoff game ain't a big deal. It really doesn't matter either. That's the other point, is that the best team wins. It doesn't matter if you're hosting a playoff game or not. The good teams don't give 2 bleeps about going into someone else's house. I mean, they embrace it. Look at Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yeah.
They loved it. They love hearing it just go completely silent after a third down completion in the end zone, or even just a first down to end the game. Like people like competitors love that. They don't really care. The fans aren't gonna. Fan comes on the field, they're getting arrested. All they can do is get loud and hoot and holler.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
So, I don't understand that too, especially in the fact that one, you went 0-for, you played the NFC South, and the team that had the 1 seed was in your conference and lost to, I think, the 6 seed.
Yeah.
With a rookie quarterback at home.
It's
in a dome.
They got a dome. I mean, that's just so soft. And by the way, you would think the Broncos, the AFC West of all teams, would have loved this rule. Because they're perpetually...
Any team having the best year as a division is going to want that rule. But that's not every year. And again, not all schedules are created equal. When we play the NFC South this year, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure that
no, because we play the Panthers. The Chiefs played the Panthers last year.
No, it was last year we did.
Yeah, the Chiefs played the Panthers last year.
And who had one of the best conferences? Who had 3 playoff teams?
AFC South this year is the AFC South.
I'm saying last year who had 3 playoff teams on the AFC side? We did.
Oh, yeah, the West.
Because we played the NFC South. And we're not trying to reseed and all that crap. We understand that every year the schedule is created differently for every team, and that's why the parity happens, is because a first-place team gets a first-place schedule and on down the line.
Before we go to break, we're going to talk with Murph from Raiders Fan Radio. We want to get a little... I want to try and give a little AFC West update for everyone. I think it's better to go there to people who are in the know versus us trying to break down, because we can do a good job, but they'll do a better job trying to get a background understanding of what that team looks like. But I wanted to finish up, again, just with the NFL kind of smattering of news here. You and I talked yesterday about how the Olympics are having flag football and the NFL players are now allowed to participate. Justin Jefferson has been a huge proponent of this. He's a global flag ambassador. He said, quote, "I'm just at a loss of words. To think about the chances of playing in the Olympics and getting a gold medal is a dream. Reverting back to being a kid and watching the track and field meets, watching basketball win the gold medal, that's something as a kid I always wanted to be a part of, but football wasn't global. So now that we're expanding the game, we're more global. It's pretty cool," end quote. This is what I said. If you're in the NFL, you have no chance to get a gold medal for your country. And real football would be unfair. Flag football is a step in the right direction, and a lot of these guys, I mean, when you're a kid, you want to win gold medal for your country, for United States of America. So we've heard Aaron Jones talk about this, and now we're hearing, Justin Jefferson talk about this. So if you think you're not getting the best of the best, think again. I think the best of the best in the NFL want to play in this flag football league, because you know why in the Olympics? They want to win gold for their country. I just think all the love for America, all this stuff by the players is pretty darn cool. USA, baby. USA. We will talk with Murph. Coming up next, Raiders Fan Radio. AFC West update with the Raiders, the Zone. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to the Zone. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels going behind enemy lines. Joined now by head blowhard for Raiders Fan Radio, Murph. Murph, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. You get me fired up with that music, man. What are we doing? I'm going behind enemy lines, and I get to hear the autumn wind blaring in the background. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me, Sterling.
Of course, Murph. Dylan, the producer, is the king of getting you pumped up. It's not great that he plays the Raiders theme song right there, but I can let it slide by.
Man, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent timing. Appreciate him.
I do want to talk about the AFC West and where the Raiders sit and where they stand. I've been on the forefront of basically saying, you know what? I think they've done the right thing. Although, quite frankly, Murph, I think we had this conversation about this time last year, and we thought the Raiders might be taking a step forward. Obviously, that did not work out, but this seems to be the adult approach right here. Bringing in Pete Carroll, bringing in Geno Smith. I don't think the Raiders are necessarily a great team by any means, but at least now it feels like there's an adult in the room. They are stabilizing the ship. What is your takeaway overarching so far on the Raiders offseason?
Yeah, it certainly feels that way, man. I concur. It does. It feels like we did a lot of very responsible things. We had a lot of responsible signings in this off season. You know, they didn't, blow out the freaking checkbook on any particular player. The players that we lost, we replaced with very comparable players. Like, we lost some players in the secondary, lost some linebackers, but the guys that we brought in to replace them really kind of line up. And really, in some cases, like Jeremy Chin at safety, I mean, I think we improved there, frankly. So did really well. I thought Spytek did in the offseason. In the draft, they knocked it out of the park, Sterling. Some fans of Raider Nation towards the end of the season, we were looking at like stringing together 4 wins there at the end. And they're like, oh, this is going to mess up our draft position. And, no one ever wants to root for the team to lose, but at the same time, you want to be able to draft in a good spot. But my point was back then was let's just draft well with wherever we're at. Let's not worry about draft position. I want to see this team win every single week. I don't give a crap what the records are or anything else. I just want to see our Raiders win. And so I thought that John Spytek and the team and our college scouts, all those guys did such an amazing job of drafting exactly what we needed based on where we were at in the draft. And, we know that the odds are that all these guys are not going to work out. But we certainly, when you look at the potential for all these young men, I thought that they just did an awesome job in addressing not only the needs of the team, but really added some explosive playmakers, potential playmakers, even late in the draft. So I'm with you, man. I'm always excited. I think the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl every year, so I'm a terrible one to ask, in terms of like optimism, because I'm always finding something to be optimistic about. But you don't have to look too hard this time around. There's a lot of things to latch onto that are a lot of good within this Raider team.
Yeah, Murph, we don't have to look too hard, and that's why I always love having you on, because honestly, I got a little excited about the Raiders last year. I said they might be one of my surprise teams, and that was completely wrong. What did go wrong last year? Not just the injury, of course, the major one to Christian Wilkins. Didn't get a chance to see him with Max Crosby really terrorize offensive lines. But Antonio Pierce, you and I had talked about it, how it was a changing of the guard, almost back to the old guard of the physical nature of the Raiders, almost trying to take on that villain mentality. Obviously, that message did not resonate as the season went on. Where do you think things went wrong last year?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And as a fan and on the outside looking in, all I can do is go off of what the optics were. And being there at the front line, I was there for Antonio Pierce's first speech as a head coach, and to see how the energy that man brought, and to see that that Raider spirit and everything that he brought. We were all bought in 100%. I thought that last season was gonna take off, and we were gonna see some of that old school Raider mentality, and we did. And to Antonio Pierce's credit, the guys played all the way up to the very end for that man, and he was for what he was a good head coach. He wasn't destructive like what Josh McDaniels was. Like, Josh McDaniels destroyed careers. Antonio Pierce did not do that. He just didn't have it yet as for what it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. And that showed up by, the hiring of Marvin Lewis and Joe Philbin and all these, former head coaches that he had as advisors. he had this litany of people advising him and still couldn't get it together on game day a lot of times. And so I think he just fell to inexperience. And so again, like a lot of us Raider fans, like we don't dislike Antonio Pierce like we dislike Josh McDaniels. It just didn't work out for him. And so I think that, that coupled with like the idea of like what you were talking about, we ran out of talent last year. I mean, Malcolm Kuntz getting hurt going into the season, losing Christian Wilkins, losing Max Crosby, losing players left and right. We couldn't run the football. Like it all just kind of fell apart. Once it started, it just kept rolling downhill. So that's where, like, going from what this team has been, since the Josh McDaniels regime took over compared to where we're at now, gosh, it's just a breath of fresh air. It feels like we really do have something that we don't have to, again, look too far to be optimistic about. And I can't wait till the last game of the year this year, man. It feels like we play the Broncos or the Chiefs, the Chargers at the end of the year every year. It's nice to see the Kansas City Chiefs back on the freaking schedule for the final game this season, man. And hopefully we all got something to play for.
Yeah. Murph of Raiders Fan Radio is our guest. Taking a look at the AFC West. This is the Raiders edition. I liken this Raiders and what they're doing to what the Chiefs did when they brought in Andy Reid and then eventually Alex Smith. I don't think it's going to be the same success by any means, but I think it's a step in the right direction. The Chiefs went 2-14. They had to go after Eric Fisher. You're sitting here going, okay, we're not drafting a quarterback necessarily, but we need to at least have some competency. We need to bring this franchise back to relevancy, if you will. And that's what the Chiefs did, and then eventually things took off. You have to have a base to build from. It felt like the Raiders for so long were just shooting from the hip, trying everything, always trying to have the smartest guy in the room, mostly with, obviously, McDaniels, and then it just not working out. That's why I love Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. Again, I don't think they're going to be great this year, but again, if the Raiders went 8-9, 9-8, I think that's a very realistic possibility. I think the AFC West as a whole is really, really good this year. Ashton Jeanty, obviously we know, phenomenal player. I think he's going to be a stud. But when it comes to the rest of the draft, what are a couple players or picks that you thought really stood out?
Well, Jack Bech, drafted for wide receiver, which is a huge need. And you're right, after Ashton Jeanty, that's the absolute home run for us, and we all have high expectations for what that young man's going to do. But to follow that up with another major position of need for us on the offensive side of the ball, with Jack Bech, you bring in a guy who's got absolutely vice grips for hands. When you look at the reliability of the pass catchers now on our offense, I mean, as far as like 50-50 balls and whatnot, I'll take our pass catchers over anybody. When you look at Jacoby Myers, vice grips for hands, Brock Bowers, even Ashton Jeanty out of the backfield, very, very sure hands. And to see what we all know Jack Bech's story, and as heartwarming as that is, and we're also highly encouraged to what he's going to do at wide receiver. Then we drafted a lot for the trenches. We drafted a couple of offensive linemen. We need some help at interior offensive line, especially guard. We brought in a guy to compete. That's the theme of this is going to be this offseason for us, is compete. And we're going to have some competition out there at right tackle. So I thought we made a lot of good moves there. And then also, too, late in the draft was really fun. It's like we needed a quarterback, right? We need somebody to compete with AOC and with Carter Bradley for the backup spot, and so to make a move for Cam Miller late, I think is really interesting. And then, we also drafted the guy that was the quarterback on the other side of the ball from him in the championship game this year in Tommy Mellott, and we're bringing in Tommy to play wide receiver. And this guy's going to be like you think about like our Julian Edelman, like a bigger Julian Edelman, or even like a more wide receiver version of like what Taysom Hill is going to be. That's what this guy is going to be. So again, addressed a lot of really cool positions at the bottom of the draft. But there's just even a guy like J.J. Pegues, a defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, a great player, great in terms of defensive tackle, but then also runs the ball. The guy was 25 of 26 attempts on first down conversions in college last year, and like the guy can run it in from the goal line. Just a lot of fun, potential for the players in this draft. So again, I thought they knocked it out of the park, and they're not only hitting need, but hitting like excitement and potential for explosive plays.
Yeah, I liked a few picks in particular. Darian Porter, the cornerback. I know he's a little older. I understand understand that he has not always been a cornerback, but the potential there was, I think, tantalizing at that particular spot as well as Charles Grant. He's a really interesting prospect. I liked him for KC if they were not going to go tackle in the first round. High upside guy, all the measurables, a lot of traits, tiny school, but I like the Raiders at least taking a shot on him. Obviously, you already have Colton Miller there, but maybe on the right side. I thought Charles Grant was also a pretty interesting prospect.
Yeah, he's definitely going to compete out there, and that's what Spytek said. He's going to immediately go day one. They're not going to wait around and try to work him in. He's going day one to go out there and to compete with DJ Glaze out there at right tackle. And so I think it's great. You know, a lot of the Raiders teams of recent, as you know, I mean, we just suffered from lack of depth, and so to have options now. To where we're going to have, you know, healthy competition at a position, and then have the opportunity to then for whoever doesn't get the quote nod, then that there's going to be depth there now at that position, and that's what your team does, right? Like you guys are always great at that. When you go through these drafts, you get these players that come out of nowhere. By the time you're watching them in the Super Bowl or late in the postseason, you're like, who is that guy? You know what I mean? And so and it's just a talent that your organization has had is for just drafting well and then coaching them up. And so I'm hoping that that's the way that we're going to go. You know, you guys drafted a guy named Jalen Royals, who I thought would have been a very Al Davis pick out of Utah State. I love that player, and that was somebody I was hoping we were going to get. But instead we got Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee, who's even more of an Al Davis pick. He's even faster and even bigger. And so to see again that kind of potential on this team, I think is great, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully again we're building a squad that can compete with you guys, because until we can beat the Chiefs, we're not going anywhere, man. And we got to cover Travis Kelce. We got a bunch of big defensive backs now. Hopefully somebody can find him and not him finding holes in our zones and picking us apart for 2 touchdowns on 6 catches and whatnot. So hopefully that's where this thing is headed. And it's got to be even more fun for you all. It can't be any fun just to beat up on the silver and black twice a year. You know what I mean?
Honestly, Murph, I've been saying that for a while now. It's almost more enjoyable when the rest of the AFC West is good. I get it for legacy and all that stuff. I mean, the Patriots beat up on a brutal AFC East for how long? The Chiefs had a good AFC West when the Chiefs were coming into their own. And then the last few seasons, it has been just a wasteland in the AFC West, where it was almost perpetually 6-0 with the occasional 5-1 thrown in there. But with the Chargers getting better, the Broncos, I think, just maybe has the highest floor of the other 3 teams in the AFC West because of their defense. And then the Raiders, again, I think, doing all the right things. This is a lot different. The Chiefs are going for their 10th straight AFC West title. This year's going to be a little more difficult.
You just gave me agita there, man. I got to go find some Pepto now. Geez, 10 in a row. Yeah, that's brutal, man. It's easy for me to come on here and try to talk smack or whatever about, but it's just, your team has been inarguable over this last run, and it's time for someone to take the Chiefs out. And I say this all the time. It's always been us. I know that the rivalry has gotten dinged up a little bit over the past handful of years because of the level of dominance that the Chiefs have had, but it's still us, man. It's still the freaking Raiders. We're still the ones that need to take care of business. I feel like the Chargers and Broncos are an afterthought in our division, and I know they're not. And the Broncos had their runs with pay, and the Chargers did what they did with Phillip. We never won anything then either. And I've always historically been the most overrated team in all of football every single year by media. And so I don't think those things are going to change, but it's time, man. It's time for the freaking Raiders to step up and to take it to the freaking Chiefs, man. It was great beating you guys on Christmas that year, and we've all had those. We've had those flashes, like you said, those 5-1s. So we've had those flashes where we've been able to do it, with John Gruden driving the bus around Arrowhead and like that. But that doesn't, those things they're so isolated that they're great in the moment. But what do they mean in terms of like what you're talking about? Legacy, making runs into the postseason, relevance year in and year out. That's the part about the Raiders and this Chiefs rivalry that has to change on our end. Because I'm telling you, Raiders fans, man, we're running thin, man. It's been a challenge, especially these past couple of years, and it's time. It's freaking time, and I think we finally have got the right folks in place, and we're fired up, man. And like you said, I don't think we're going to see any big swing. I think we're going to come out of the gate winning 14 games this year or anything, but I think that we can definitely be a 9-10 win team challenging for a wild card spot.
By the way, I love that Chiefs and Raiders fans can agree on something, and that's the overrated perpetually Chargers. I like that. At least we have something we can agree on. And by the way, we actually thanked the Raiders for Christmas because that was a good thing. Because the Chiefs lost to the Raiders on Christmas, that helped actually the Chiefs win a Super Bowl in the Raiders' house. So, it gave them motivation. So
Why you always got to bring that up, Sterling?
I'm sorry, Murph. Again, Murph of Raiders Fan Radio. Love this little AFC West Raiders update. It's always nice to go behind the scenes with you. By the way, overall, it's been a few years now. How has the transition gone in your mind from Oakland to Las Vegas? Has some of the fandom of some people dropped off? Has it, captured a new market? I always had a lot of questions and quite frankly, some issues with the Raiders going from, Oakland to Vegas, yet it's been a few years now, so we can finally see this play out so far. What do you make of it?
Well, it's interesting. So I'm an old school guy, right? So I'm 52. I've been a Raider fan my entire life since I knew the Raiders were a thing. I've been a fan of this team, and I grew up an Oakland sports fan. Going to A's games, going to Warrior games, going to Raider games. My first concerts were at the Oakland Coliseum. I just literally grew up in that place. I went to the Oakland Coliseum in utero when my mom went pregnant to the '72 World Series. So I'm a Bay Area guy through and through when it comes to Oakland sports. So I was I'm not skeptical per se, but I wanted the Raiders to be there in their home in Oakland, and I still wish they were, frankly, because it's that we're never going to replicate the energy of what Oakland was on game day or otherwise. It's just never going to happen. Now, that said, I don't dislike Vegas. I think if you're going to move them somewhere that wasn't Los Angeles, and I think the NFL blew it when they didn't move the Raiders to Los Angeles, but that's because Stan Kroenke didn't want us stealing any thunder from the damn Rams. And there's only two Chiefs or two Chargers fans anyway, so you don't have to worry about that with moving them there. But as far as markets go, if it wasn't going to be L.A., then Vegas is fine. And so it's not the same. When you go to games, it's just not the same. It doesn't have that organic, gritty nature to it. I'm not an advocate for violence or anything like that. But there was a gruff to it at an Oakland Raider game, and you didn't have the level of opposing fans parading around like they do in Vegas and whatnot. So I think all of us in silver and black would wish that part of it were different. But at the same time, I don't have to waste an entire quarter to go stand in line and get a beer. I mean, I can go use the bathroom and get a Modelo and be back in my seat in 5 minutes, so it's kind of nice in terms of the accommodations of it. And Allegiant Stadium is an absolute love letter to the Raiders. If you've never been to it and you're a Raider fan, or you've never done the tour and you're a Raider fan, it is an absolute must opportunity to experience. And so there are many, many wonderful things about Vegas, and I don't disparage it. And I definitely say that, with winning, the fans and the energy will come. The city has got the Raiders back. So it's definitely an exciting place to go. It's just not Oakland, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be Oakland, but it's just never going to return to that. So for a guy that was rooted in that and grew up in that, there's still going to always be a part of me that's going to miss that. But I think for younger fans that are coming up and this is their version of the Raiders that they're going to experience, I'm sure it'll be fine for them once they're an old man like me hollering about it.
Murph of Raiders Fan Radio. Appreciate it, man. I love the AFC West Raiders update. I love doing this with you. Always a good time. You're always fun to talk with. You are irrational, but at least you're nice, and you can handle a little ribbing as well. Make sure everyone go check him out on Raiders Fan Radio as well as on the X @_Murph. Good luck this year. I actually, you came on after Ashton Genty. We talked to Ashton Genty. I'm excited. He talked about how he had played with Nick Bolton, I believe in high school when he came back to the States, talking about how he's excited to meet Nick Bolton in the hole. So that Chiefs-Raiders rivalry will live on.
Oh, man, that's beautiful, man. Let's get back to it. And appreciate you having me on, Sterling. As always a good conversation with you, speaking about the rivalries. And, hey, and we'll pick a game. We want to do the first or the last one. We'll get a bottle of Woodson whiskey riding on one of these games. I picked the wrong one the other 2 years ago when the Raiders actually beat you guys. I picked the wrong one, so we got to pick out which game we're going to bet a bottle of bourbon on.
I love that. Just everyone listening really quickly, that's what happened. The Raiders, I think, won, but the game we bet on on for the bourbon was the one the Chiefs won, and he sent me a nice bottle of Woodson whiskey, which, by the way, delicious, very, very good. I was able to actually tell Woodson in Tahoe last year how good it was, and I even brought you up in the conversation. So yes,
right on.
So we will actually have to bring up some bet some bourbon this time around.
Deal, brother, deal.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. More Zone right here, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shout out to Murph. Go behind the scenes talking some Raiders for your AFC West roundup. NFL introducing Protector of the Year award for offensive line. This is pretty cool. I like that they're giving the O-line and the dudes in the trenches some love. I knew Dylan would love this, but
what's the one in college for the entire unit?
Oh, yeah, for the whole unit. I'll look it up, but yes, the whole unit in college football gets that. I like this in the NFL. Protector of the Year award. Troy Vincent, who is the NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations, said that Deion Dawkins and Andrew Whitworth were the main catalysts in pushing for the creation of this award.
Well, so it's going to be like the quarterback MVP for left tackles, basically.
Sounds like it. Creed Humphrey.
Still a great award.
Could be you.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm over there just kind of like looking. My man, it'd be awesome to sit where Sterling does. He gets to look outside and see the trees and the breeze and the blue skies and the birds pooping and everything that happens out on the balcony here at 810. And I got a better view of Dylan. I just got to kind of turn 45 degrees. I can see Dylan. Usually my back's to him, so this is a prime spot.
Yeah, that's prime.
It's not corner office like you have now, but, it's a couple doors down.
We all rotated. I think tomorrow, actually, I'm going to produce. You will be the host, and Dylan will be the co-host. Or how do you want to do that, Dylan? Where do you want to be tomorrow? Anywhere you want to
Listen, here's the deal.
Pool,
Dylan,
beach?
Hawaii.
Dylan can be the co-host, right? He can be the host, and then he gets that, foundation, and then he can come on sound off, right?
Yeah.
That's how
it
prep
works.
you. Sound is easy compared to
Will
any
he
of this
not do
radio.
it?
He's like, I want to get more. I'm like, whatever. We put anybody on. Right?
I've been on.
Yes, we put Sterling on.
They've put my ugly mug on.
Kadog is on lots of times now. Todd
Those are
Lebo,
those are
upper management.
professionals.
We
Those
put upper management Todd Lebo on.
Those are pros,
Middle
man.
management, come on.
Is he middle management?
Yeah, what,
He's
he
upper
might be
middle class.
upper middle.
management. Yes.
Upper middle management. Is that what we're going with now?
That's what we're going with. And so, we need to get you on, Dylan. We put Dravetta on.
Oh, come on.
Right? He sat in that chair.
Again,
sat
this is
in that
proving my
chair.
point. These are good guests. This is proving my point. I don't want to.
How about what if I made them all Chiefs and NFL questions?
Ooh,
Yeah.
now that is enticing. I might have to
Wheelhouse.
try that.
1970s Steelers somehow is every
College
question.
baseball too. Yeah.
There you go.
No. So have you punched buttons before? Have you produced?
It's been a long time. I was actually on the previous software. Was it Wide Orbit? What was prior to this one? Do you remember, Dylan? That may have been pre-Dylan. That might be PD.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Dylan's job's a lot harder than ours because we just talk.
Yeah.
Dylan has to have like 9 things going through his head at all times, and I can only get to 7.
Yeah.
It's funny
I can
because
get to
talking is hard for me. This is easy.
Well, that's just it. Like you don't have buttons to push or cameras to worry about or anything when you come on sound off. It's just give us a take for 30 seconds.
yeah, that's the dangerous part. You know?
Hey, we don't do it live too. We record it here. Cat's out of the bag. We record it. So if something crazy happens, if you drop a bomb or whatever, we can
Nick
edit
Jacobs
that
deals
out.
with enough. You
can
know, I don't need
redo it.
to add more to his plate doing all that.
Nick would
post
love
editing.
having you in.
I
He
know.
loves another NFL nerd.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would keep you there till like midnight. You guys would be talking about
That's fine.
the tush push and all that stuff.
As long as you bring pizza, then we're good.
Well, I don't have
He's
pizza.
never
Sorry, I
once
guess you're never
brought
coming.
pizza. Yeah, he's never once
We
brought
sometimes
pizza.
have
That's
like
right, it's
little
yeah.
bottles of water, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think that
It's only for,
I've never gotten a bottle of water. there.
election
You get a
stuff, yeah.
$50 gift card, Visa gift card.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That is very, very kind of you.
That's good,
It's
right?
very kind of you.
Yes.
Although I do struggle using them sometimes.
Well, it's not from me.
Yeah, it's from
Why do you have
the
to have
powers
it
that be.
activated or something?
Well, no, because you never know how much is left on it.
Yeah.
And then when you take it and they're like, hey, no, it doesn't cover it. I'm like, well, I don't know how much is on. How much do I use left? Is it $6? Is it $12?
Some of those readers will just cancel it if
It
you
just
don't have
cancels
enough.
it, and then
if
it
you go
makes
to
me
QT,
feel-
you'll be like, actually, you owe $5 more because you only had
Oh, that
this
does
much
work at
left.
QT?
It does for the ones I've used. And then where was I at? I think I was at Sonic, and I swiped it. And then on the screen, it showed me how much I had left on the card. I'm like, well done, Sonic.
Nice.
You're in the 2030s by now. You're in
Strong.
the future.
Yeah, so then I get embarrassed because it'll just be like, no, it cancels everything. They have to type everything back in again. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's on me.
I don't know why they don't use whatever card company or whatever that Johnny's uses. They have the QR code on the back that you just scan and it tells
Smart.
you
Yes.
exactly what's left too.
Yeah.
Like they could even do that. Because I agree with you guys. It's one of the more annoying things about prepaid cards. They have.
This
you have
is a
no
very
idea.
like
You guys have never used it, but they should have a check register right on the back of the card to where like you write okay, $7.34.
oh nice
Okay,
yeah.
$12.50.
register.
Do you? Look at you.
You
I
still
think-
do?
I think you guys have
I
ever
don't
written a
know.
check.
I don't.
I
use
write
it
checks all the
now,
time.
but I have used.
Your ass can't cash. That's the kind of it's like a checks you write. Mouth's writing those checks.
All right, NFL introducing a Protector of the Year award for offensive linemen. We hit on this before we went to break. I think it's kind of cool. Dylan had a good point.
What is this?
Protector of the Year award for offensive linemen.
Is that just the best offensive lineman?
Yeah, best
Okay.
offensive lineman.
Which then will turn into the best left tackle.
And that's what Dylan said. Is it going to be the best left tackle? And I said, I don't know. Because, I mean, Creed Humphrey could get some recognition for this, right? Penei Sewell on the right side could get some recognition for this.
Sure.
Joe Tooney maybe would have got some recognition last year for this going from left guard to left tackle.
In order, it'll go left tackle to right tackle to center to left guard to right guard, I think.
Probably.
It's going to be like 80% or maybe like 70% left tackle, 15 right tackle, and then 10 center. And then whatever's left on our Visa gift card is going to go to the right and the left guards.
But you can't.
That's why they need to do the Joe Moore method, which I looked up in the break.
Yeah.
They need to do the Joe Moore. It's the entire unit. Like the best unit in college football gets the.
I didn't know they didn't have like
I didn't either.
Offensive lineman of the year. They should have the whole time. You should have one for every position.
Well, you can't if you do every position. Then it's just first team all pro, basically.
Yeah, it's true.
So I actually like this as long as it's not just best left tackle. But in fairness, that's what the MVP award has devolved to: is who's the best quarterback.
Well, I think more and more now, and hopefully they're not short-sighted on this. I mean, you got these DNs moving every snap, right, to one side or the other, and you're investing in all these Chris Jones type D tackles to where like you mentioned Penei Sewell, a lot of times your best guy, especially with the Chiefs, isn't going to be on the left side. It is still for the most part, I think, the most important position. But you've had experts talk about like there's no real blind side. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, when Patrick Mahomes is turned, his back is to the left side, but his head is not.
Yeah.
His head is turned, for the most part, straight downfield, and he can see the left side as much as he can see the right side. And depending on the play and whether you're rolling out and where the pocket's going and all that, the right side could be more blind than the left. And I think more and more people are, maybe figuring that out and realizing, okay, let's, instead of investing all this stuff on a left tackle and having mid guys at the other four positions, let's bring them all up and make them more, even them all out.
Looks like Buffalo Bills left tackle Deion Dawkins and Andrew Whitworth were the forefront of the creation of this award. Whitworth makes a lot of sense, obviously. Do we give the Bills credit for actually having a good idea, or what?
That was the Bills?
Well, Deion Dawkins plays for the Bills, so
yeah, I guess so. Sure, why not?
It's tough. I feel icky. Ugh.
The Bill. It's just another off season where the Bills will get what they want with the rules, right?
That's a good one. Nice.
It'll be two this off season, right? With the with how they're measuring the chains and all that stuff. They'll do the lasers or whatever, which wouldn't have changed the outcome of that of the fourth down play against the Chiefs, because it's all about the spots still.
Right. And it's not like tennis pros to this day dispute the tennis, because that's what they're basing it off of, and what they're trying to become is like when the tennis goes out of bounds, you just go quickly to that, and then it's all decided, which isn't the case for tennis. If you ask like John McEnroe, people that aren't a part of tennis anymore, they hated that thing.
But this is just the lasers for the chains, right? This isn't. We're not talking yet about the ball.
Remember,
the tennis is at least the ball.
Yes.
It'll show you.
Because remember, like 2 years ago in the preseason, they did it, and they were like, "All right, we're gonna go to this new, faster way to decide the first down," and they timed it. It was like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, over the past several years, they've gone away from measuring. A lot of times they're like, okay, our eyeball's good enough. We're not going to measure. Back in the day, they would measure for a first down every possession. Yeah. And all these old guys would waddle out there, and it would take forever. So thankfully, they've applied logic to them, like, I'm going to eyeball that. That is clearly not. I don't care if you're asking for it or not. That's clearly not a first down. We're going to keep this going.
We don't have the note card
It feels
anymore.
like maybe once a game they'll run the chains out there, maybe.
Right.
And so that has helped. But I think, I mean, if the problem's 100%, they've solved maybe 10% of the problem. It is mostly still all going to be about the spot.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times the chains screwed up the first down, as opposed to where they place the ball.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part.
We have some news now. We were talking about the tush push, and we now know the 10 teams that voted again to
get
ban
rid of it. Okay.
Yeah, so we know now the 10 teams that wanted to get rid of the tush push. Do you think the Chiefs were in that camp or were not in that camp?
I think the Chiefs were not in that camp. Maybe it's just optics, or maybe it's just like, we're good. We're good. We got to figure it out. And really, the reason they lost was not the tush push to the Eagles. So I'm going to say they're not in the camp.
Dylan, I know he had the same thought process. I did too. The Chiefs voted against it. The Chiefs wanted
against the ban or against the tush push.
They wanted to ban it. The Chiefs wanted to ban it.
I'm in that camp too.
I am surprised.
To
I
ban
hate that.
The play?
Yeah, get it out of here. Get it out of here.
The 10 teams that voted against the proposal, which means the 10 teams that wanted the tush push to stay alive, they needed 24. Only 22 teams voted to ban the tush push. They needed 24 teams to ban the tush push. So these 10 teams wanted to keep the tush push alive.
Okay, so wanted to keep it alive.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
The Eagles,
Yeah.
the Ravens, the Browns, the Lions, the Jags, the Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Titans.
Okay, so I was thinking 10 teams voted to get rid of it, but 22 voted and they needed 24, so it was close.
Very close.
Okay, I might have changed my answer on the Chiefs then. But, okay.
Well, I still thought the Chiefs would be in the 10. I thought the Chiefs were going to be, no, that looks soft. We got our ass kicked in the playoffs. It's not the reason why we lost that game. We're not going to try and vote against the Eagles because, to me, it looks a little soft.
Well, I'm against it. I mean,
Why?
There are already rules. First of all, it used to be illegal. They just never called it. So they're like, we're just going to make this legal. I mean, there are rules in place for other positions and other players on the field that are kind of the same thing that you can't do. Like 2 guys can't gang up on a ball carrier and carry him back 5 yards, right?
Sure.
It's forward progress right there. So why can 2 guys on the offense gang up on a ball carrier and push him forward and you get those yards? And then like on PATs and field goals, like on the defense, you cannot, linebacker cannot come up and push a defensive tackle. That's against the rules. So it's just another thing. There's so many rules that favor the offense in this sport, and it is a really effective play. I mean, part of that for me is like, I don't know why more teams don't do it.
Do you want to know something fun?
Yeah.
Last year, the tush push between the Bills and the Eagles was 87% success rate, and the Bills were actually better than the Eagles last year.
Oh, really?
Do you know what Carson Wentz was on QB sneaks in his era of the Eagles?
Nope.
87%.
Okay, good.
The exact same without using the tush push. Sometimes it just means your offensive line is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just means your offensive line is good. Tom Brady, his QB success rate, now this is cherry picking because the best of the best, but the Eagles are the best of the best doing this, 91.1%. I don't hear anyone screaming when that was happening, hey, we got to ban the QB sneak, it's unfair.
Well, because it's one. It's one. It's one. It's not like somebody equated it to like this is back when like it was to be like Jerry Rice was playing. Oh, you're too good. You can't run the post route anymore. That's not even apples to apples. That's apples to pizza right there. Completely different. Why should Chris Jones, who jumps over the submarining center and gets past a guard trying to block him, now have to stand up against 600 pounds of humans to make a tackle? Well, how's that fair?
It's football.
Okay, fine. Allow 2 forward passes every play.
That's different. That's not football.
Well, says who?
Based on the rules that were established
these rules used to be established?
1870.
Actually, when they were established, there was no forward pass there.
Well,
Sterling.
exactly.
So,
but this was, though.
So, but there was no forward pass.
Was this allowed?
No.
In the 1870s, baby, this was totally allowed. This was football.
No, in the 1970s, it wasn't allowed. In the 80s, the 90s, it was not. It was against the rules.
And in the year of William Howard Taft, I believe this was allowed. The biggest president wanted big boy football.
Are you fine? 2 defenders tackling a guy, carrying him back 5 yards?
They can still tackle him, but it's forward progress. That's a different rule.
Well, it's the same thing, right? Well, it seems like hypocritical to me.
I just think forward progress has
fairly defined. If the defensive guy has to deal with 600 pounds of mass moving forward, why does the offensive player?
Well,
why
2
can't
guys
it
can
deal with
tackle
that?
one guy,
but we're taking back yardage. This is the same deal. Yardage back, yardage forward. One you'll allow, one you won't. Ban it out of the league. Get rid of it. So you can't pull a guy. That's the rule. Right? You can't pull a guy, but you can push a guy. What's the difference? Well, it's a big difference. Like when I go to a door, I mess it up. I know there's a difference.
There's a difference. I mean,
but how dumb is that? You can't pull a guy, but you can push a guy. No, and I don't think I don't think it's a safety deal or whatever. Especially some of these quarterbacks and how big they are and the soft tissue and all. I'm not stomping my foot over that part, and I'm not really mad that it's in. Like I said, it's not like the Eagles were so good in like all areas. Just they have been the last several years to where like that's been a little part of it. Now, I mean, it's a nice deal when you're down 4th and 1. And you're like, we're gonna get this basically, and you have to have a certain type of quarterback and a coach willing to run it, and the Chiefs don't have that. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me more than anything because there's so many other rules that kind of are similar that are in place.
Do you know how many times the Eagles have run the tush push since 2022? 3 years?
2000.
Or is that 4 years? Because that would be 22, 23, 24.
So
well,
I would guess in 4 years?
3 years, I guess, because since 2022, so 22, 23, 24.
24.
I'm assuming that's how they break it down.
So I'll go at least one per game, which would be, gosh, what would that, 51 times. And I'll go 3 times a game. I'll go 153 times.
108.
Okay. So about twice a game.
You're not that far
twice
off,
a game.
But I guess that's kind of my also complaint is they've done it more than any other team by double. The Bills are next, and then the Bears have 16. It's really just one team, 1.5 team, them and the
Man,
Bills.
I'm shocked by that. I thought, with those results. But, how many times in those 108 times did they get a first down? Did they get a touchdown?
But also, maybe they did it on 3rd and 1, and then they did it again on 4th and 1, and there's your 2 times for that game.
Yeah.
I guess my whole point is I think it's a lot of hubbub for a play that's fairly rare, that only one team really runs, that I do think is a football play. I just think because one team is really good at it doesn't mean you ban it. I don't think it's fair that because they are good and 31 other teams aren't, that you ban it. And I'm not an Eagles guy, you know that.
Yeah, I call this QB sneak a play. I don't call this. When I call play, I think it's just a strategic move that was just is a huge advantage that doesn't necessarily. And again, forever this was banned, but it was like 3 seconds. Right? They were never going to call it.
You don't
it's
have
like traveling in the NBA. Nobody's ever going to lane violation.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen that? Especially in the playoffs called in the NBA.
They actually changed the rule in 05, they said, because they couldn't even tell. They can't tell who's
a lot
pushing.
Of times, you're right. Yeah, that's it. And so maybe that's where you draw it to where, like, okay, if there's a big scrum there, we can't really tell. But if, like, the first guy making contact with your quarterback is your fullback right up his spine, they're like, oh, okay, that's obvious there.
What do you make of NFL allowing players to play in the 2028 Olympic flag football game? Because a lot of the players seem to be thrilled by this. Yeah. I love what Aaron Jones said. I love what Justin Jefferson said. Jefferson was talking about how getting a gold medal is a dream, reverting back to being a kid and watching the track and field meets. Aaron Jones was talking about, like, this is what you do for America. This is what you do for the United States. Like, this if you're not in the military, this is your chance to kind of help, your country. I just thought it was pretty badass, all these guys talking about their thrill of playing for United States of America and trying to win gold for the USA. I'm a huge fan of this.
So I think about the players have to love it. The owners apparently love it. Was it 32-0, that vote? The coaches have to hate this.
Yes.
Like, all right, so you're telling me in July and August, on the cusp of training camp.
July. It's the 14th to the 30th, I believe.
Of July?
Yes.
Okay, is when they're playing? Okay, so still overlapping with training camp.
Yes.
And
just to start, though. Just to start.
But leading into a season where we have all these plans made and all this stuff, you're going to send my guys out there to do a lot of cutting and moving, and this is going to be a lot more cutting and moving than regular football, right? To where, like, okay, there's a guy there, and if I'm Isaiah Pacheco, I'm putting my shoulder pads down, I'm going to go through him. For Isaiah Pacheco and playing flag football, like, I just got to get around him. Ankles and knees and all that stuff and non-contact injuries. I guarantee you that's like the only thing these coaches, especially the one that lives in this town, is thinking about. So I wonder if it's going to be the Patrick Mahomes and the Rashee Rice's playing, or if it's going to be the Chris Oladokins and the Sky Moores playing.
Well, you only get one from each team.
Okay.
So it's only one from each team. So I think
one total
player
for the American team or all of them.
So one for American, and if you have another guy, let's say it's Mailata for the Eagles because he's Australian.
These guys are going to be going back on their
23andMe.
That's what I said too.
They're going to line Mailata up at receiver.
No, but I was trying.
What is it? Is it 7-on-7? By the way, the flag football.
That's what
is that what we're going to have? That's what I'm guessing. I don't think you're going to have full 11 on 11.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool overall. I think the players love it. I understand the thought process of injury and all that stuff, but USA, baby, kick some ass.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, look, it's the Olympics. They could be, I don't know, like dart throwing, which they might have. I don't know. Or
I would watch some dart throwing.
I would watch anything and cheer for the Americans. But I don't know, like then what they've tried in the Pro Bowl before and all that. I'm like, so much of football for me watching is the hitting and the violence.
Mick likes violence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's most people, whether they admit it or not, to where, like, I guess, I'll watch it. I don't know how excited I am. And, yeah, I don't think Mahomes will ever be the guy out there. And maybe it's not the guy for the American team. Maybe you want more of a Lamar Jackson type or whatever.
Well, I said that too. You probably want more of a Lamar. And I also said I don't think it's even going to be the mid-range NFL guys because those guys might not be good enough for the style of flag football. How many of the guys who actually play in like the flag football leagues are going to, like, we all assume it's the NFL guys. I would assume it's the NFL guys, but maybe there's some,
those guys will blow the quote-unquote pro flag football players out of the water.
I'd assume so.
Out of the water.
I would assume so too, but I
route running. I mean, okay, you're really good, whatever. You might be fast, whatever. These guys are the fastest or the
best.
best.
It'll take them like a day.
A day, right? Just, just
those flag
separation.
Guys, you know what they can do? They can be coaches.
They can be coaches. Who's the one guy that called out Patrick Mahomes?
I was trying to look him up.
Yeah, he was at the Super Bowl this last year. We were going to go interview him because they had a flag football display. We never got there, but they were kind of talking this up at the Super Bowl. And I think the back half of every NFL roster would just dominate these quote-unquote pro flag football players. I get it. It's a different game. Whatever. Like Dylan said, give them a day. They'll figure that out. These guys go from one offense to another, right? And just this brand new language and a 50-word play that comes in every 40 seconds. They'll handle flag
Darnell.
football.
Hang on. Yeah. Darrell, Doucette.
Darrell Doucette. Okay.
Can't get the quote because I'm not paying for Los Angeles Times.
That's fine. Let's take a break. Let's come back. Let's play a little game of Rotten Tomatoes. Get 3 movies. 3 of us, 3 movies. We will find out who wins. Rotten Tomatoes next on the Zone Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer. All right, let's do it. Let's get rotten, baby. Rotten Tomatoes. How you play? We pick 3 movies. We go around the room. Critics and audience scores. Whoever gets closest gets a point. Who, if you get it right on the money, you get 2 points. I kicked ass last week. Got 2. Credit to me for
I knew that was coming.
credit to me for just waxing you boys
Right,
last week.
yes.
Credit to me for being humble too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go around the room. We will start with let's start with Mick this time. Mick, first movie.
So I remember last week when we talked about, or maybe it was Monday, we were talking about M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That is
So I'm going to
correct.
lead off with one of those.
Yep.
One of my favorites. I liked it. I think it got panned by a lot of people. Well, maybe a lot of critics. I don't know. You guys have to figure that out. But it's called Signs, right? Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix was in it. Did you ever see that one? Where like the aliens just dominated the Earth until you poured water
pretty
on them.
scary movie.
Until you
Yeah.
poured water on them.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
That movie was terrifying as a kid, though.
Yeah, I was an adult when I saw it, but okay, whatever. Sterling. Okay, so we're going to go with Dylan on the tomato meter.
Critics. 92%.
84%.
Those are only guesses, right?
Yeah.
Just us. Okay. Sterling gets it, 76%.
Hey, not bad, not bad.
Popcorn meter.
Oh man, I will go with 86%.
Give me. I'll go 88.
Should have gone the other way. 67%.
Let's
And
go.
We can't have
Wow,
Sterling
that's
win
a,
again
that's
here,
a little
Dylan.
surprising.
I agree. but
Yeah, no. The fans didn't like it as much as the critics did.
I'm more disappointed in those scores. I honestly would have thought that would be.
Yeah, it was a good
one of his
I
best.
liked it. I
That
liked
was
it.
one of his better, I thought.
It was like the third one I think that came out because you had Sweet. You had the Sixth Sense.
Yep.
Then you had another one. And then you
Wild
had
twist.
Signs.
I love Split.
Unbreakable or something like that, or Breakable.
Might be
something like
Split was great, by the way.
that was
too.
good. That was later
That was
on.
later, but
I
Split
liked
was
The
great.
Village too. That was
That was weird. That was kind of
big-
creepy.
big,
Yeah, I like that one
twist
too.
at the end.
I thought that was actually one that got panned as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I think a
Unbreakable.
lot of his got banned.
Unbreakable was in 2000.
Maybe
Yeah.
I just don't know movies.
So that was maybe his second one. It was after Sixth Sense, and then he came out with this one.
All right, and by the way, we have to do at least 3% off with only 2
Ooh,
of
was
us.
it Wide Awake?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Never mind.
The Happening though, that was
Yes.
in there.
Yeah, that is in there.
All right, Dylan,
That is
first
a movie. That's true.
It sure happened.
Okay, so I'll go M. Night Shyamalan as well. The Sixth Sense.
Oh. 94% critics. I think they love this.
91% critics.
Mick wins. It was 86%.
Okay.
Wow.
Critics.
Okay.
Respectable, but still.
Yeah. Are you keeping score over there?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
1 to 2
Okay. To 0.
to 0.
Okay.
Popcorn? We go to...
To me.
Yeah, you.
So Popcorn, it was, what did you say, it was 86?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to go 92% for the Popcorn. Which way do you go?
I know, I kind of want to
Which
go
way do you
higher. I'll go 88.
Okay, so
That must be in the
92
middle.
and an 88.
Yeah.
All
Must be
right,
in
well, it's a
between.
90.
Oh, we split it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that
point.
would be
Chop it.
half a point.
One
Man,
point
if you
for
would have
us.
just done 3 less instead of 4.
I know.
I
but
thought you were
felt
going to
bad.
go 2 under what he was doing.
You
and
can only
get
go 3.
You go
with 2
3,
of
we've
us.
decided 3.
With
Yeah.
only 2 of us.
That would have got you the point.
But I would have. But I felt like I felt gross doing that. I know it's the
I
rules
won't
that
that-
I
yeah,
created,
yeah.
but I felt gross cheating
Well,
the rules.
I'm glad you felt gross because I got half a point.
Yeah, I got half a point there. All right, my first movie. Mine is going to have a theme. I've been watching Entourage. So
Good job hitting the T on Entourage.
Entourage.
Okay.
Uh,
Medellin, is that the movie?
Medellin and what was Medellin?
But by the way,
It was his
I don't know
passion
what the
project.
count is, but there's like at least half a dozen movies from Entourage that ended up getting made. Like
Yeah.
Aquaman is mentioned in there
Yep.
before they made it.
Wait,
and-
seriously?
Yes.
I thought Aquaman would have been made first.
No.
Wow.
No.
Well,
Aquaman
I'm
was
I'm
like
stuck in
the-
2008 right now,
Yeah.
so
The Medellin got made, and there's a lot of others.
Essentially, they are patterning the Aquaman as his Spider-Man to Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Anna Faris makes an appearance in
yes,
Entourage,
she does.
and so
E is her manager.
E is her manager, and so I'm gonna do Anna Faris movies. Scary movie.
Scary movie. With the first one?
First one. Scary movie. First one.
God, those are all great, by the way.
Defying the very notion of good taste, Scary Movie out-parodies the pop culture parodies
yeah,
with a
the
no-holds-barred
critics
assault.
aren't going to love it because it's a comedy, it's slapstick. So I'll go 65% critics.
Yeah, I'll go 63. Or 64, or 61. Excuse me.
62, I guess you'd have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whoops.
but whatever.
51.
He
51.
wins
Dylan
anyway.
goes
Yeah,
on
didn't
the
go low
board.
enough. Didn't go low enough.
Put him on the board. Yes. What do you think the audience, though, thought?
Yeah, it's gotta be higher.
250,000.
My dad loves the scary movies. He loves Westerns, war movies, and the Scary Movie franchise.
And with that information, I will go a 90%.
Oh,
it's
God,
high.
no, it's
Yeah,
87. Oh, 87.
I don't know if you guys should get a point because it's 43.
Yeah,
You guys
I
could
get
not.
it. Well, I wasn't going to go.
How did the critics rate it higher than the
I wasn't going
people?
to go 90, but I was going to go in the 70s or 80s.
Somehow the critics went higher on Scary. Next time
That's
around,
crazy, too. I thought it would be more of a fan favorite.
I did too. I love this movie.
Yeah,
next
great
time
movie.
around, we're gonna have to do like you got within 20% to get a point or something like that because that's absurd. That's 44%
Yeah,
off.
with just two people, you can just play the game easily, right? Just go one way or the other.
Next time, well, that's for next time.
Next time,
It's a learning experience for Rotten
Got to be.
Tomatoes.
I like that within 20% or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I like that. So yeah, they're wrong. Scary Movie 1
That's great.
slaps.
Okay. Ready for me?
Yes.
I'm a huge rom-com fan over here. So my number one rom-com, Sweet Home Alabama. Here we go. Did you ever watch that?
No, I've never even heard of it. What's it about?
It's a Leonard Skinner song.
Yeah, I know that part.
Okay.
But
You never saw Sweet Home with Reese Witherspoon? New York fashion designer Melanie suddenly finds herself engaged to the city's most eligible bachelor. But Melanie's past holds many secrets, including Jake, the redneck husband she married in high school, who refuses to divorce her.
oh wow.
The ground zero for every single Hallmark movie is this one right here, basically.
Yeah.
That is every
You brought a
single
baby
synopsis.
to a bar? That's that famous line from that movie. Okay.
Can't be that famous.
It is. You are just in your own little Sterling world.
I'm going to go 75% on the critics for that.
I feel like they like rom-coms. Do critics like rom-coms? 80.
38%. I guess next week you wouldn't get it, Sterling, but you're Dylan, but you get it
I
this
will
week.
take that.
38%.
Man.
Wow.
I was shocked by that.
Well, shoot.
Okay, so you're doing fans.
But do all the wives and single ladies like this movie? That's the question. Do they feel like this is them? They could see themselves being this
My poker
so
face,
and so. I think the answer is no. I'll go 42%.
I'll go 50.
51.
Nice.
The answer to your question is yes, Sterling. 78%. A 40 percentage
Wow.
swing. 40-point swing there, but from 38 to 78.
feel like
so that goes to Dylan as well.
Yeah, Dylan took the lead 3 to 2.5 to 2.5.
Yeah.
I feel like rom-coms have really thrown me off.
Yeah. Well, I got another one coming, so here we go.
Shoot.
All right, sticking on the M. Night Shyamalan train, Stuart Little. He is credited as a screenwriter.
Wow.
So I will go Stuart Little.
With Michael J. Fox, that's Stuart Little? Let's go,
Yeah,
let's go.
critics have to like
1999.
this. Critics have to like it's whimsical. 84%.
Mick?
So that wasn't a full cartoon, right? That was
Yeah, it was like a half,
action, and then
yeah.
they did the
It's like
CG
the first
with
of
the
its
mouse.
kind.
I liked it. Yeah, this was a
Would you go?
84%. I feel like that's
I feel like it's high. I'll go 81%.
Mick wins. It was
Yeah.
67.
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
You're right though. I thought that would be like kind of a kid movie, but not quite. It's
Good
oh,
movie.
That's a bummer. That hurts.
Well-
Childhood just kicking the stones, huh?
What do you believe is the rating for the audience?
Is it me?
Yeah.
And it was what? It was
So it was
60
67 for the critics. Of
I think
Stuart
the
Little.
audience is going to be right around there and I'll go 72.
Yeah, I'll go 76.
Well, Mick wins, but somehow the audience put up a 41%
Oh,
for
no.
Stuart
What?
Little. I guess they were
What
not.
are we
doing?
doing here?
You know, I don't know.
Oh,
I wonder
man.
the audience. So Like, do you guys ever go vote on Rotten Tomatoes?
I've never
don't.
voted.
I feel like
that's
it's like
the polls in election season. Like, do you know anyone in your life?
I feel
that
like a lot of
actually
times
filled out
it's
one of
like
those
maybe you
things?
just wannabe cinephile critics that
Let me look at this, actually.
that go vote on that. So that's maybe why
Yeah,
I feel
vote
like
on it. Give it
much
5
more
stars.
mainstream. That movie should have been higher.
100%.
Yeah.
That movie was classic. Speaking of classic, Scary Movie 2.
I hate you. Oh God, you are the worst.
Scary Movie 2.
I'm doing critics. Can I get a call back to what Scary Movie 1 got? from
You
the,
cannot. As a supernatural
It was-
extension of the first
it was
film.
low.
Yeah.
It was sub 50.
Or was it higher?
35% for Scary Movie 2 is my critics guess tomato meter.
Give me critics of, what'd you say? What was your number, Mick?
Oh, sorry, it
So I
was
don't-
35%. I can barely remember what I
Give me
just
38.
said.
13.
Yeah, let's
Scary
go.
Movie 2 was a whopping 13%. Don't know how. I thought this was also a good one, too. Pretty good one. What do you think the audience, though, thought about, again, 250,000 reviews on Scary Movie 2?
Dylan.
I just found a review for Stuart Little that we'll be discussing soon. What was the movie?
Scary Movie 2.
The audience. I'm gonna go 40.
Yeah, I'll go less. I'll go 35.
52.
No way. That's a
go.
big swing right
It is a
there.
big swing.
39% swing right there. What a movie.
Do you think people went to the movie not expecting, and then the second one they were, oh, okay, I know what the scary movie is, even though it says scary movie. It's, you think that was the issue on the audience score? Those
Well,
first
they
couple
probably
times?
you're right. The first one they probably went going, this is going to be a
False
scary
advertising.
movie. I'm going to be startled. And then next thing you know.
They knew what to expect, yeah.
All right, let's go fast on the third one. We got to go quick. We have to go as fast as you can.
Okay, ready for me?
Yes.
Another rom-com, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh,
Dylan.
Critics, 80.
75.
42%. Yeah, it goes to Sterling.
Boom.
Sterling, what are you
Huge.
doing with the popcorn meter?
I think 80%.
I'm going to say it's got to be up there. I'll go 90.
77%.
That was
Sterling
close.
again.
There we go. All right, I made it a comeback quick. It's helping me. I'm good going fast.
Yeah, you are.
All righty. So the last
Got
one,
mine.
Devil,
Oh,
is a M. Night Shyamalan movie
Yeah.
about the haunted elevator.
yeah.
Oh, 33%.
38.
Mick wins. It was a 51%.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
go.
dang it.
And
then-
Sterling,
No, I
Or
think
my
it's
bad,
me
Nick.
now. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll go 42% for the fans.
47.
well, Mick wins. It's 43.
Oh,
Wow.
almost on the
Almost
nose.
had
Let's
it.
go.
Almost on the nose. Mick is going to be uncatchable unless Dylan absolutely nails these. Final. Oh, Dylan's turn. Was
I just went.
That
that
was
was your,
your
okay, my
turn, yeah.
phone. So we're
Yeah,
going too quick. I'm
yeah.
getting flustered.
That's right,
The House Bunny with Anna Faris. That's going to finish this off.
Yeah, I never saw that. You probably
the House
should,
Bunny.
though. House Bunny for critics was 29%.
Yeah, I'll go 25.
44.
Oh, let's go.
Wow, shockingly, they
Good
liked
plot there,
the
really,
House
yeah.
Just wait
Bunny.
till I read this review
Yeah.
and you'll figure
They
it
lived in the Playboy Mansion. What was the audience score of the House Bunny?
What was that? What was the winner?
44%.
Okay,
out. 60%.
I'll go 55. Lower.
Mick wins 50%.
What was that total there for Daddy?
9.5. Not
Nice,
quite as
I've
good
gone.
as last time. We're gonna take a break.
You
We're
sure
gonna
about
come
that?
back. Yeah, it was 11. We're gonna
But
come.
that's like my 5th win.
We're gonna come back, and no, it's not. And Dylan's gonna give us some thoughts on Stuart Little, the Zone Sports Radio 810 WHB. wrapping up this Hump Day edition of The Zone. You're in the Hump Day zone.
I love
You
Hump
were
Day.
in the
This
Hump
is
Day
my
zone.
Wednesday's my Thursday, so I'm already looking ahead to my Thursday, which is my Friday.
You're not here Friday?
No, I'm here, but I don't count this as work.
Oh.
Radio's fun.
When you're hanging with your friends,
This is
right?
charity.
Yeah, I'm with my friends, and then you're here,
Babysitting.
and yeah. I don't count that as work. TV, that is work. The audio part of broadcasting is easy. That visual element, that's hard. That's tough.
Knicks Pacers, who you got?
Oh, the Knicks are going to win. It's going to be Knicks, Oklahoma City, Knicks Thunder.
Pacers, Thunder. Small market,
I want the
baby.
Pacers to win, I
Small
think.
market.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
all
go.
for that. Let's go, but Knicks are going to win.
All right. Appreciate it. Mick, Dylan, appreciate it. Program coming your way next.